Hiya, Barbie.
Hi, Ken.
You want to go do a podcast?
Sure.
Jump in.
Gathered friends, listen again to Binging Barbie. I'm your host, Jay, and with me I have my co-host. So, John, you're going to turn us back into our good-looking Toa selves?
No.
Oh. This is a podcast about movie tie-ins for toy franchises. This week we are continuing our series on the Bionicle movies. We will be closing out the original trilogy by talking about Bionicle Web of Shadows. Joining us once again, we have our special guest co-host for this series, Bionicle expert Toa Legend.
Hello.
And we also have a new guest. He's a writer and the co-host of Serious Business, the Homestuck podcast, Sam.
Ahoy!
Yeah, this is your first time on the
Yeah,
podcast.
I'm excited to be here.
You do Serious Business with a frequent guest, Samariel.
Yeah.
So.
I have, I have to follow my good friend Samariel wherever they go. That's false. We just hang out. It's great. And then I force them to read Homestuck. And I'm frankly surprised they've continued to let me do that this long.
Well, yeah. Since this is your first time on, I just wanted to ask you how did you get into Bionicle initially, and what's your history with the franchise?
Yeah. So I started it very much was like Lego to Bionicle. So like I was big into Star Wars as a kid, got like some Lego Star Wars sets, and then spent probably most of my allotted half-hour screen time every day on the Lego website playing games and stuff. And sort of came across Bionicle, and they had these really cool computer animated advertisements for the toys. And I went, this is super cool. What's up here? And then the lore goes way harder than it ever needed to for a children's toy line. And it became probably my first like real obsession as a child. I would check out the books from the library. Occasionally the library would be missing a book in the series, so I would just have to kind of figure out what happened off of like Wikipedia or whatever. I don't think Wikipedia actually had accurate Bionicle information, let's be honest. But yeah, so mainly my like entry happened was like end of 2007, early 2008, so like after the Toa Legend line was like fully retired. I don't know that I've ever seen any of these sets personally. But yeah, it was cool to go back and read the books.
And had you seen any of the movies before this point?
Nope. I watched this one for the first time last night, which also I feel like I saw clips on YouTube, and I feel like there was probably a point where like I started to watch one of these movies on YouTube, but then like it was mirrored or something, you know, the way that like old cartoons would get around copyright by being on YouTube. And I was just like, I don't want to watch this. And the animation style was not really my vibe. And so it has been fun to watch this one last night and then today go, I need a point of reference for these scores I'm supposed to be making, so I'm going to watch the other two.
So you're getting the crash course in what we've been doing for the last few weeks here.
Hey, they're not bad.
Yeah.
Well,
I think I like this one least, but that's, I don't know.
That's fair.
We'll get to it when we get to our scores. I'm interested to see the diverse range of opinions we have on this one.
Well, this one's a bit polarizing amongst Bionicle
fans.
So.
Yeah.
Fully,
the
like,
year itself is something.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, but the Roodaka voice act, like Kathleen Barr, fully, I'm like, best performance of this film, far and away.
We'll get to her.
We'll get to, yeah. Well, yeah, this is Bionicle Web of Shadows, released October 11, 2005. For longtime listeners of the podcast, this was a couple weeks after Barbie and the Magic of Pegasus released.
Can you see the influence of Barbie and the Magic of Pegasus on this film?
I mean, Barbie and the Magic of Pegasus has some like darker elements. That's the one that is like partially in 3D. It's so cool. I like had to go through a whole saga to get the 3D DVD, but it was very much worth it. It's one of it's like Ask Me on the Right Day, and that's my second or my favorite Barbie movie.
Oh, okay.
Also, this year we had Revenge of the Sith.
Oh,
Yes,
everything was
does-
getting
yeah.
darker.
Yeah.
This is also like very spider, like visually spidery film, and this
Yes.
is right in the midst of the
The big
Tobey
Spider-Man.
Maguire,
Yeah.
Sam
Yeah.
Raimi
Before
trilogy.
his dark third film.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All
They
these
copied this
connections.
movie actually.
Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this was directed once again by David Molina and Terry Shakespeare, with a story by Henry Gilroy and Bob Thompson, and a screenplay by someone new to the series here, Brett Matthews, who was a writer on Firefly, the TV show, and also The Vampire Diaries. I have seen Firefly and not The Vampire Diaries, so
I saw the Vampire Diaries in the notes and read it as Buffy the Vampire Slayer and just thought this person was like a creative partner of Joss Whedon or something.
I should watch it. I just watched Twilight in the theater in a sold out showing for the first time, and that was an experience. So now I'm a little bit more open to Vampire
I
Diaries.
do
Anyway,
have a question about the credits.
yes.
Greg Farshty is not credited as story. Did he come on later, or is that
No, he mainly wrote the books, but the
Okay.
head of story at this point was Bob Thompson,
Oh, okay.
and Farshty took over after this year.
Gotcha. Because I was like, that is the like one person that I know did story for Bionicle, and I do
Mhm.
not see him credited here anywhere.
Yeah, they kept him locked in the cellar, keeping him on working on the
I mean,
comic
he
books.
did a real good job on the books and the comic books, though. For again, the Bionicle lore goes probably too hard for something that is associated with the children's toy line.
He does have issues with this year in particular, but we'll get into that much later.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and we have art direction here by David Molina and Michael Rose and Terry Shakespeare, who must have done the art direction for the last one, and music once again by Nathan First.
All right, Toa Legend.
Yeah, so just a quick little like between Bionicle 2 and Bionicle 3. Now, the last movie kind of ended in a weird spot if you're watching these two back to back, because the last movie has a full conclusion. It's like, hey, we're back on the island of Matanui, everything's fine. And then this movie starts with them being like, well, actually, there's a lot in between that we didn't cover. So even beyond that, there's a few more things that they don't even cover. So where this movie starts with them arriving back on Metronui, being like, oh, we need to get the rest of the Matoran, there's actually quite a few things that happen in between. So the first things first, they do arrive on Matanui in that first little voyage. Now, they only have like 10 Matoran maybe with them at that point, all still in their pods. But they reach the island of Matanui. They scope out the island, and they designate certain areas for each of the elemental villages. They're like, okay, we're still in full support of segregation. Let's make sure that we uphold that to its fullest.
All
And
the
so-
girls have to go on this part of the island.
Yeah, girls have to stay near the water because they're stinky. Get them. But yeah, so they've gone back to Matanui, or they're going back to Metronui to get the rest of the Matoran. In the meantime, we're introduced to a few characters, again off screen, that become important for this movie. So Sidorak he's kind of just a dude on an island that keeps getting promoted, because what he's doing is he's basically, once somebody does something cool, he tells the chiefs of the island, he's like, oh, I did that. That was me. And then the person that actually did that will be like, no, that was me. But now Sidorak has been given a little bit more power than them. And so he's like, oh, it was you? Why don't you go serve on the front lines then? Gets them killed. And
King
that's kind of
David it.
yeah,
he's
that's kind of his
very
process.
so he's actually like somewhat competent at being backstabbing, not
Yeah.
really how he's portrayed.
Yeah, he's not a fighter at all. He's
Oh
definitely
no.
a manipulator. And it works out really, really well. And then he becomes like second in command. He realizes I can't really advance any further, and most of my people hate me. So he actually sells out his own chief to the Makuta at the time, um, and gets essentially the position of Makuta's like lieutenant. Um, leaves
Because
his
there's
own
one
home
Makuta at this point.
right. Leaves his home island and betrays his uh, chief, who becomes tested on by the Makuta and turned into another character, which we know as Voparak. He becomes important to after this movie, which I will also cover a little bit too. At the same time, there's another character, Roodaka, who is also trying to get in good graces with the Makuta. And she does something that we'll get to partway through this movie that is really, really good, and the Makuta would have really liked it. But Sidorak pulls a classic Sidorak and takes credit for it and gets promoted before her. And so the Makuta's like, hey, you get to control the Visorak swarms now, and Roodaka will be, your right hand lieutenant. And at the same time, Sidorak had been working as the messenger between, I believe, different islands, but especially Zia, where Roodaka is from, and really wanted to get in good graces with their people. So he's like, I know, I'll marry her, which has not been an idea proposed in the entirety of Bionicle canon
The
up until this
Bionicles
point.
can get married? What?
Yes and
Guess
no.
there's a few romantic characters in Bionicle, and I guess Sidorak is one of them.
He's a lover, not a fighter.
Exactly. So all of this happens. They get control of the Visorak army, which is this army of spiders. They've been laying waste to a bunch of different islands around, and then Makuta gets trapped in a block of protodermis, and he sends him like a psychic message being like, hey, come to Metro Nui and free me, please. And so they bring all their spiders with them. They set up in Metro Nui. And the time between Bionicle 2 and Bionicle 3 is probably at least 100 years, maybe more. It's a decent amount of time. They don't talk about it in the movies. It makes it seem like it happened
takes a
one
long
after the
time
other.
to get from Mata Nui to Metro Nui.
Yeah,
No, again, it's all confusing to me.
it's
like,
very confusing.
They set out on the ocean that Metro Nui is like an island in, and then they sail to above that somehow. Don't worry
You have to
about
do
it.
some heavy paddling to get upstream. but
They go up a waterfall, I think. At
yeah,
some
they're
point.
like
It's a fish ladder.
salmon or trout,
It's a
whichever the one's
fish
kind of.
ladder.
But yeah, so all of the Visorak are now on Metro Nui. They've kind of taken it over. That's why it's all covered in webs. As Wenua says at the beginning of the movie, the archives have been breached. All of the creatures that were once in the archives are now out as well. So it's very dangerous. And at this point, too, the Rahaga, who we'll get to who they are a little bit later, they've been kind of just meddling with Roodaka and Sidorak's plans. They've been trying to mess them up. They've been trying to like save people on the islands where the Visorak go to. And so prior to this, they actually had retreated to Metro Nui to live in the archives. Once the archives are breached, they kind of resurface and they realize, okay, Sidorak and Roodaka are now on Metro Nui. We need to mess them up here and now. The Rahaga also have brought the Mask of Light to Metro Nui at this point. We'll get to that.
Sure. Okay.
They stole it from the Makuta who had stolen it from Artaka, which that's a whole we won't get into that.
Artaka is one of the coolest characters in Bionicle because he exists at the edge of canon, and so you can just sort of say whatever you want about him, and he's cool.
Yeah, it's whatever anybody says is basically canon.
Yeah, sometimes
Right.
you'll draw a design, and Greg Farsty will look at it and go, "Yeah, that's Artaka. That's canon now."
Yep.
It's a cool design, I will say.
Yeah. So going into this movie, we have these little dudes called Rahaga who are trying to mess with Roodaka and Sidorak. We've got Roodaka and Sidorak who are controlling the city and trying to control each other.
Some more successfully than others.
Yeah. We have the Toa who have been on a long excursion, finally get back to their home city, which is now in disrepair and ruin. And Vakama is more confident than ever because he's been leading this team for a long time, although some members of the team are a little bit more disgruntled in the lack of democracy, I suppose.
Which, yeah. Why is Vakama leading them?
I think so.
feel
We
like-
talked about a little bit in the last movie where the clear choice would probably have been Nokama. Right?
Yeah.
She's the most competent. She does well. But I think it came down to Vakama being the strategist and the visionary that made it make the most sense from a lore perspective.
Sure.
From a non-lore perspective,
He's the fire one.
red guy sell big number.
Yep.
He must be leader. So
Yep. I don't know, like even
Uh,
just like watching this movie, I was like, this guy was the leader. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. They like making the red dudes. Even Sidorak is the leader here.
Hmm.
Leader
In name.
in name.
Sure.
is the key.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now the movie starts with them arriving back on Metro Nui.
Yes. So, after encasing Makuta and Protodermis, the six Toa Metro return to Metro Nui to rescue the rest of the Matoran. When they arrive, they find it has been overtaken by the Visorak, spider-like creatures led by King Sidorak and his betrothed, Roodaka. The Toa are captured and infected with venom, transforming them into part beast Roodaka. They are rescued by the Rahaga, former Toa, who are looking for the legendary being known as Kitongu, or in their universe, the Kitamangu. They tell the Toa that he can reverse the venom and return them to their old selves. And feeling guilty for leading his team astray, Vakama strikes out on his own. He is captured by Roodaka, who uses his insecurities to manipulate him into working for her. She tells him of her plan to betray Sidorak and take control, and promises that when she does, he will be her king. So the other Toa go with the Rahaga to the Great Temple, but are attacked by Vakama. The Rahaga are. He kidnaps the Rahaga, besides their leader Norik, and brings them to King Sidorak as proof of his loyalty. Sidorak puts Vakama in charge of the Ziggurat Cord. Norik and the Toa follow ancient clues and find Kitangu, which was basically just a river, who offers to help them.
Yeah.
Together, they go to confront Sidorak at the Colosseum. The Toa engage with the Visorak Cord while Kitangu confronts Sidorak, and Matau goes to find Vakama. Roodaka finally betrays Sidorak, allowing Kitangu to kill him. Matau and Vakama fight, and Matau is eventually able to win Vakama back by reminding him of his duty to the Matoran. Vakama attacks Roodaka, using his powers to break a piece of protodermis crystal she wears on her chest. This frees Makuta from his prism somehow, and he seemingly absorbs Roodaka somehow.
Well, it's because
It's not
the
explained.
rest of them. No, it is explained. If
Not
you read
here.
the books, if you read
Not
the
here.
books,
This is the movie we're talking about. Anyway, Vakama sends the Visorak Cord away, and Kitangu transforms the Toa back to their old selves, and they fill the transport ships with Matoran capsules.
Yeah, that's true. We don't go into deeper lore here. That's not what we've been doing. The
yeah,
past
no,
two
definitely
podcasts.
didn't talk about what happened between the last movie and this
No.
one.
So I am curious before we get into the story to hear the explanation for why. I get that they're all using their powers to do it, but why
Can I
does
take
that
this one?
break the whole thing?
Go for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we at the very beginning, you see Roodaka carve off a piece of the crystal that has, or the protodermis, excuse me, that has Makuta in it, and like put it, and then later on you see her like put it in her armor, and then all at the end before Vakama shoots his spinner at Roodaka, every single of the rest of the Toa Hortica shoot their spinners at Roodaka, and so then when Vakama does it, it's like the last energy, and so then you had the energy of 6 different Toa breaking the Toa seal that created that
Okay.
protodermis, which then releases Makuta.
So the seal is separate from is like a bigger concept than just the protodermis thing.
Yeah,
Kinda.
I was just wondering
Well, like
why the things
the
in the 2
Balrog,
different locations
right? We're like,
were.
but also technically, I think it could be any 6 different Toa that like
I-
unseal it. I don't think it has to be the 6 that made it.
I believe it is those elements combined create that seal. And that's why we see that element pairing so much in the story, is because that is one of the most powerful element combinations, because they have
okay.
the ability to make that protodermis seal. But yes, I believe any Toa of those 6 elements can both make and reverse the seal.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's again one of those fringe things that they kind
Yeah.
of explain, but don't go into much detail.
The concept is more important than actually what, like, Makuta's free is the point. Which again,
Yeah.
there's one Makuta. There will never be more Makuta. There's only the one right now,
Right.
and that's the one that matters.
Exactly.
For
Who's
this movie, at least.
Don't worry about it. He's Makuta.
Also, at the very end, it looks like Roodaka is absorbed by Makuta, and you'd be mistaken to think that. In fact, she's just teleported away somewhere else
Sure.
and brought back into the story later on.
Oh, because the Red Star. All right.
No, actually.
Oh, it's not a
even
Red Star thing.
stuff.
Okay.
It's literally so Makuta's powers are never defined in the movies, but they are in the books at one point. And apparently teleportation is sometimes part of it.
Great.
And so she's teleported away, kind of into the middle of nowhere. She's kind of like, oh, well, wait, is that how I'm rewarded for all? Okay.
The Gaslight
she-
Gatekeep girl boss got gaslit and gate kept.
Yeah. She kind of becomes a double agent between the Makuta and the Shadow Hunters.
That's cool.
Dark Hunters, sorry.
I like that for her.
Yeah, and then she gets captured by the good guys. I won't get into them yet.
Is it the
and-
Toa Haga? Or is it
Yeah.
a different? Oh, they
Yeah.
get their revenge. Hell yeah.
Well, gets captured by the Order of Matanui,
Oh.
and then they force her to reverse the
Oh,
Roodaka thing.
okay.
Yeah, and then she is on the Suicide Squad later. It's real fun.
Oh, now that makes me want to read that. We'll get to Roodaka
Again.
when we get to
Bionicle
Roodaka.
lore goes hard and does not have to.
Great.
There are like 3 alternate universes. Why did they introduce alternate universes into Bionicle? I don't know. Takanuva goes around though. Like, I don't.
Yeah, he has fun with it. But yeah,
Yeah.
the story for this movie is different from the last 2. The last 2 are introduction stories through and through.
Oh,
And this
yeah.
one actually has some room to tell a story in its 70-minute
Yeah.
runtime, because we know at least 6 of the characters. They do still introduce 9 more on top of that, but they're not important enough.
Well,
Yeah.
Also, like they introduced really like 3 more.
Yeah.
Like it's Norik, who is an exposition fairy. Like Norik exists to be like, hey, Roodaka and Sidorak are bad. Also, let's go find Kitangu during this montage.
Mhm.
And you have Sidorak and Roodaka, who are actually somewhat interesting, and Kitangu, who is here to
Yeah.
smash Sidorak with his hammer.
Yeah, but
And tell
you
them
can't
that
forget
they
about
should go back.
Yeah.
the 5 other characters that are introduced by name.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot about Bomonga, the best Toa.
Iruni.
Dukes, Gaki, Koalas. Good times.
Yeah. Also, it's not in the movie, but this is when Nuju just starts talking bird, right?
Yeah. Yeah, straight up.
Well, it's because Koalas does it, I think.
It's so a few of them actually learn because this is a whole story about them uh kind of becoming one with nature in a lot of ways, which kind of is a fun little setup for how um they interact with like the eye with Matanui and stuff. They're a
Oh
lot
yeah, like the
more
island.
yeah, they're a lot more like animal and nature friendly versus like in Metro Nui it's a little bit more colder, more
Urban.
urban, yeah.
Yeah.
And in this one, they actually all learn a lot about the Rahi there, and a lot of them learn to speak some of the animal languages, which take that, no comma. Who needs a mask of translation? Just learn the language, idiot. Um, but specifically, yeah, it's Koalas who's like, yeah, Nuju, if you learn how to speak bird, they can just tell you like cool little secrets and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, that sounds dope." And so he does, and he's like, I'm not speaking English ever again, dude. This is awesome."
Except for when I'm going to say the word Roodaka to Vakama at the end of the first Metro Nui
Right.
series to let him know that we have to tell them about when we all got turned into animals and you had a heel turn.
Yeah. And Vakama's like, I don't want to tell him about
I don't
our
want to talk
great
about when I was
arc,
evil for a little
but
bit.
I guess we will.
It's okay. Sometimes you have to embrace who you were in the past so you can recognize how much you've grown.
Yeah, it is important for like in this movie, um, like you have to understand this is still Vakama telling the story in the
Right.
future about the past. And so another part of it is like I don't think the writers knew that they were going to be doing two stories on these characters.
Mm.
So they finished the first story and then they're like, "Oh, okay, we got to go back now." And so the way they did that was they were like, "Okay, Vakama doesn't want to tell this story. He kind of want to brush his he
Yeah.
wants to brush the past away, doesn't want to talk about it." But they feel like they have to tell the Matoran about it, or else they're going to get back to the island and be like, "Oh, why is Metro Nui covered in webs? When did this happen?"
Yeah.
And so
Well, it's
Nuju is the
also
one.
like it's like so the Toa Nuva know some of the dangers they might be facing when they return to the city.
Yeah. And so Vakama's like, "Okay, team meeting. Everybody gather around. I'm gonna tell you about when we all became furries, and I had an edgy phase."
Which also Bionicle would go on to do better animal inspired like toys in the future. Like
Yeah.
the Mystica Makuta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that these were supposed to be animal inspired, and I
Oh,
owned the
sorry, they're
Vakama figure.
Rahi. They're not
Yeah,
animals.
that's true.
Oh, sorry.
They're Rahi.
Sorry.
But like that is actually my complaint is that I don't think that they are like if Rahi are the fauna of the Matoran universe, I don't think that these designs are like animalistic enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the interesting thing between the two movies, talking a little bit about the sets and a little bit about uh, deeper lore implications. So the last movie sets up what it kind of means to be a Toa. Like
Yeah.
you're going through, you're learning about, protecting the city. Your goal is to save the Matoran, and it leaves a really big emphasis on what are mask powers, how do we use them. It's a really good idea for the franchise because it explains, oh, okay, there's a little bit more than like elemental powers. I guess we'll touch on mask powers. And then we get into this movie. They're mutated. They don't
Yep.
have mask powers. They also barely have elemental powers. In fact,
Well,
the only way they can
like-
access the elemental powers is through their
Spinners.
spinner on their back.
What are the spinners called? I forget. I'm gonna look this up.
What was that?
There's like a word for the spinner, like the
Rotuka.
Kordak Rowlass
Rotuka.
or whatever. The Rotuka, yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, and so it's very weird. There's a lot of people in a lot of Bionicle fans don't like this story, and there's good reason for that. It gets away from everything that the last story did,
Yep.
and not always in a good way. It's kind of unnecessary as far as the whole story goes. This adds a little bit of depth, but it doesn't add very many new elements to the overarching plot. Although it does, I suppose, show how Makuta was freed again, but that could have been explained pretty much anyway.
It's yeah, I mean it's the like the Master in Doctor Who, right? It's like every story ends with them being defeated, and then it's like, I survived. We're back. All right, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I'm the villain.
Yeah. So I can see both ways. I do like a lot of aspects to this story. I think they did a good job in telling um, a lot of good parts. I enjoy the darker tone to it,
Yes.
and I'm
Yeah.
seeing Jay's notes here. Like,
Which
don't
also
wanna-
then they would go to Ignika and Paraka after this, which like you want
Right.
darker tone. It's like
Yeah,
we
yeah.
are headed full swing for that.
yeah,
Yeah, I just like all of the horror
Yeah,
undercurrents here.
There were some good jump scares in this movie.
hmm
Yeah, it's
It-
I don't know. I'm less connected with all the lore for me. So for me, that's like the stuff that I latch onto with this one, which is maybe why, not to spoil our scores, but maybe why I enjoyed this a bit more than other people did.
that's fair.
I don't know. I just kind of felt like it was yep, this is an acceptable movie for kids and teens. I don't know. Like I also like there's something about like I was experiencing or like getting into Bionicle like as a kid before I realized I was like queer, but then there is something about the like like yes they're like furry Bionicles, but there is something about like the like, oh, things are happening to my body in a way that I don't like, that was very like, I don't know, something about that resonated with me as a kid. And also like having never seen this movie before last night, Roodaka is a dom. Like there is
Oh yeah,
this is the sexiest Bionicle ever gets, and it's fully like Roodaka has Vakama tied up and it's running her fingers down his chest, and I was like,
I-
hello,
I'm listening to the
is this
soundtrack, and
allowed?
literally one of the soundtrack titles is called Roodaka Seduces Vakama.
That's what it is. Like truly, it's like that happens when she's introduced stepping on a Visorak.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, hello. And then
It
she's
was-
like, I'm gonna train the rest of the Toa Hordica to like be good little subs in my spider army, I guess. Like truly it was just like a weirdly like sexual thing. And the funny thing for me about this is like I had a campfire a few weeks ago and Bionicle came up somehow, I don't remember, and one of my friends from high school was like, Roodaka can get it, and I was like, what are you talking, these are androgynous toy figures. And then I watched this movie and I was like, oh yeah, okay, she is doing a, like she's acting very sexual, even though these are robots that don't have sex because they're built by the great beings.
Right, but she
But,
also
like-
is the only character in the Bionicle universe that canonically has boobs, I guess, is just cutting to the
Yeah.
chase. She has
I'm
armor
marking
that
this
looks...
episode as explicit, so go,
All right.
go for it.
I love the idea of watching the first two movies and then being like, no, the third one gets really dark and edgy, and we're just like, yeah, this
They
character
have
has
boobs.
boobs.
I mean, it is interesting with, I don't know, my read on it, not knowing the lore, is that the Hordeca venom kind of functions as this analog for puberty.
Sure.
And
I think
sort
that's
of
not
like
a bad comparison, except for then they're fixing it at the end.
Yeah, that, which is where the canon stuff comes in, and they have to do stuff because canon. But you think of it as like, especially for this age group, you have the changes to the body, then just like all of these emotions, especially for Vakama, is just like flooded with
Mhm.
all of these emotions and doesn't know what to do with them. And yeah, it feels very like primal, and there is that like sexual aspect to it as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like weirded off to the side, and I'm like, I don't know how much of that was intentional, but it's there.
I mean, like the stepping on is very like. I mean, we are now in a world post Lady Dimitrescu, but I do feel like there are people who would like have similar vibes for Roodaka. Like,
Oh, I've seen people on
are there people
Letterboxd, I
for
think, with
whom like they saw Roodaka and was like, "Oh, I'm a trans woman"? Like, is that does anyone know if they have any trans friends for whom Roodaka
I
was like
I
I
the
know that
"Oh, I'm a
I know
girl"?
a few friends where Roodaka was a very big awakening for them. But I most of them are straight men. It was just an awakening in a particular
No, that's
way.
fair.
yeah, it's I always enjoy when these series get a little bit dark and a little bit weird.
Yeah, well, it's
The
Jay, it's a movie about uh, robots that do have lungs and hearts and eyes. Like, it's not weird
oh,
in the premise at
what's
all.
David Lynch's Bionicle like? Or I guess David Cronenberg, just go full body horror. Yeah, and John, we've had this conversation before of like there's dark and brooding Batman and there's weird Batman, and I'm always like I like weird Batman. Like Batman Returns Batman.
Sure.
This has like a lot of those same things of like, oh, it's just so thorny and like weird, and I like that of it in the plot. Just we'll get to it when we talk about characters, but yeah,
I mean, we're
and
kind
I
of
agree.
talking about characters already. Like,
Well, yeah, the categories are a little bit fluid here, but yeah, even just like I don't know, I connected a bit more with the characters here than I was expecting to. As sort of like, yeah, Sam was saying, they're like coming into new understandings of themselves, and their bodies are changing and emotions are running wild, and yeah,
well, the thing, like, it's also in the books, right? Like, they fully intend to kill the Toa from the fall.
Mhm.
yeah,
Like fully, they are just like, all right, we're gonna torture them a little bit so they can be scared of their new monstrous forms for like 6 seconds before they die from the fall. And then it's like an arm rips out of the cocoon. It's like, whose arm is that? And it's like, well, oh shit, that's my arm. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's an explicit episode. It's fine. Uh, I thought I was going to be better than Samariel. Dang it.
Um, yeah, it's so like it's really. I was reading up on that because I was like, why did they bother? Because
Because we
the
needed new
first time
Lego
we see
sets.
Roodaka is she steps in, she's like, no, don't kill him yet.
Yeah.
And then there's like this whole scene back and forth, and I always zone out when they're talking about it. I'm like, okay, but she says don't kill him, and then he specifically kills them.
Yeah.
And so like I was like rewatching that and like reading up on it at the same time. I was like, oh, they really just wanted to like fully disrespect them,
Oh, yeah.
mutate them, scare them, kill them, and then probably like I don't know, put them on spikes or something outside,
Yeah.
like
And then
warn
she can
any
get
other
all
Toa
their
that might.
elemental powers and free Makuta.
Yeah. So
Unless she knew. No, she didn't know that the Rahaga were around before they rescued the
no,
Toa, though,
yeah,
right? That's like when she finds out. Which also, the Rahaga are basically like Turaga Hordika. Like they were a team of Toa that got mutated by these folks. Bomanga was the leader of that team. So again, why is Norik doing all the talking?
he's the red one.
He's the red
he's
one.
the red one.
Ugh.
Toy sales. That is always what's interesting about Bionicle is like yeah, you mentioned the thing of like this is a bit of a weird metaphor for puberty because they turn back into their old selves at the end of it. But yeah, it's all toy sales. It's
Right.
whatever
Yeah.
sells the toys and then continuity. But toy sales and then continuity and then whatever weird stuff they want to put in between all of
Toy
that.
sales and then continuity and then whatever Greg Farsty says on a forum that's now on a wiki and canon forever.
Yep. Speaking of toys, it's a very interesting year for them because this is the first year that they've decided, okay, everybody gets a gun in the form of a
Yes, they
Rotuka
all get the
spinner.
same one, which
Yeah.
they kind of had before with the disc launchers for
Right.
2004.
Except the Toa, only one of them
Only
had it.
Vakama did,
Right.
but yeah.
So now all of them have the gun. And they've decided to make a little bit more simple of a gun. Not all of the rather than discs where they had different printing on it. They decided, okay, they're just going to be the same spinners, and we'll just distinguish them based off of lore instead. So technically, each spinner has different powers depending on who's launching the spinner. But it is not. It's kind of just like an energy spinner,
I
depending
Yeah.
on who's
wonder.
launching it.
I wonder if toy sales, because they had the collectible mask type things for some of the other
Yes.
ones,
Mhm.
which I would guess those sold well enough that they're like, oh, now we need to always have one of those things. And then maybe the disc didn't sell quite as well, so they're like, okay, we can.
That's
That's
possible.
too much customize or like too much individual parts. Let's just manufacture a standard thing.
Yeah, I think that's literally what it was. And so, like, there weren't any, to my knowledge, there weren't really any collectible discs. The discs did have some printing on them. This is when they, I believe, it was either this year or the year prior where they introduced the Kanoka Club online, where you could enter certain codes and get certain online like stickers and
I think that they still
stuff.
had power packs where you could get more spinners,
Mhm.
Oh,
and if they did anything, it was probably just slightly different colors. But
I mean, that
otherwise,
makes
it was
sense
the
though, because I
typical
feel like
silver.
if you're gonna lose something, it's gonna be that little spinner that just like shoots off,
For
right?
sure.
Like,
they were a decent size though.
They were, but they were so easy to lose and break,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you
especially
shoot
they're
them
because
at your
plastic,
siblings, and
and they're
they
like, yeah,
yeah, like the Kanoka discs, like they kind of just flung in a specific direction, not super far,
yeah,
just
yeah.
far enough. These could go pretty far, and you never knew where they were going to go. Just kind of generally up, and that's about it.
it's because they can't control all their elemental powers because now they're part Rahi, and really it's form and function coming together in this toy line.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
it's puberty. Your body is growing quicker than you have that you can like. Your brain has to adjust to like your new arm length. Except it's
That was
spinners.
never a problem for me. I don't know what puberty was like for you, Jay.
More just like you watch how like 13-year-olds are just like
Yeah.
awkward,
Lanky. Yeah.
yeah, all over
Um,
the place.
that actually brings a good segue over to the builds for the Hordika are interesting because they are one lopsided, which we don't really see a lot in Bionicle.
Yeah.
But specifically, the interesting part about them is to make space for the disc or the Roodaka spinner. They had to move the gear functionality, and they decided to move it to one arm specifically. Um, and the gear functionality is actually really clever in how they do it. It's very small and compact, but also weird to use because you have to spin the gear at the shoulder of the character to make the arm go up and down.
Oh, huh.
And it's not, in my experience, not as playable as the other characters where you had to, you hold them by the legs, you spin the gear on the back and their arm swings. Or if it's Pohachu, his leg swings. But in this case, you kind of have to hold them in a way where you can reach the arm, but you also want the arm to be able to move. So it's very awkward. Um, on top of that, as I mentioned earlier, they got rid of mask powers for this series specifically. I don't know if that was an intentional thing that they meant to keep going later on because maybe they felt mask powers on top of elemental powers were too much. But they simplified it a lot this year. And I think that kind of backfired on them, especially because the masks for these characters still had to be made with a new mold for each one. They were distinguishable enough. But if you're a kid,
They
the
all look
biggest
the same.
distinguishing factor is just the color. And they all look pretty much the same, except Nuju has like a scope on his, and there's general elements that carried over from their last mask, but that's about it. So overall, design wise, this is as far as Bionicle goes, this is the last year where we see like horde enemies for the most part.
Oh, yeah.
With the Visorak. And this is also one of the last years that we see the Toa looking almost identical. Um, this is also the last year for gear functionality.
Yeah. Do you think
Um,
that because of like how it was limited on these models, that's why they chose to retire it? Or do you think they just thought that like the ball and socket joints added more posability, and so they thought like, oh, this can be more dynamic.
I think it's a solid mixture of the two. I think they tried to make sure that the series prior with the Metru, they made sure everybody had knees and everybody had
Yeah.
elbows, which was awesome. In this series, they added even more posability to the figures, um, at the expense of gear functionality. And I think a lot of people really enjoyed being able to pose their characters without having to worry about these gears. And so when they were going to design the next series, they were like, I don't think people are even using the gears anymore. They don't
Mm.
have the functionality of being able to knock off an opponent's mask because all the masks are now axle fitted.
Yeah, they're
Um,
all plastic, rubber, and organic now.
yeah. And so they're like, you know what? Scrap what we've done before. We're going to go for maximal posability. We're going for action figures now. But give them all guns because that seems to be working.
Give them all the same gun, because then we could only need to manufacture one, and you can make the little balls that shoot different colors,
Exactly.
and it's fine.
So this year was interesting. Obviously, we do have the horde enemies with the Vizorak. I think in the movie they used them a lot better than the Vaki, and I think that was intentional.
Yeah.
They wanted to make them menacing in this, but also they gave them good personality too when they needed to. My favorite character in this film is the
Janitor.
the janitor
Vizorak.
So good.
Sorry, I guess there's 10 characters in this movie. We forgot
Yeah,
about the
that's true.
janitor Vizorak.
Can't forget him.
I mean, he's always doing a job because he keeps making a mess right after he cleans up.
I fully missed the janitor Vizorak. Like, I did not see the janitor Vizorak in this movie, and then I scrolled down into the YouTube comments, and they were like, "And all hail the best hero in this movie, the janitor Vizorak." And I was like, "Did I miss? Like, I guess I just didn't see him."
Yeah, no, it's right when Sidorak is introducing Vakama to the Horde. He's like, look at all these things.
And he's like buffing the floor.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Okay. Wait. I did see that.
It's great.
I was expecting like to be a recurring bit or like a little post credits gag or something. Like,
yeah. The Vizorak also, this is the first enemy sets that don't have gear functionality. They do instead have pinchers, which is an interesting functionality. They used rubber bands to do this, which meant that doing it enough times broke it. But easy enough to replace, and pretty fun. Again, they suffer from the same issue of they all basically look the same but had different molds. So Lego is losing money,
yeah,
but we're not gaining much off of it, which was a bit of a bummer.
They all have the spinners too.
They do all have the spinners. And even the Titan sets for this year, which are very important to the story this time around. Also
Iruni and Norik. The Toa.
Yeah.
So important.
Well, they also have spinners. No,
yeah, they do on their shields.
Yeah, I was actually mostly talking about like Roodaka and Sidorak, who have
and Kitangu, yeah.
And Kitangu. They all have Roodaka spinners. They made them seem really important this year, and then don't reference them ever again in mainline.
Yeah, because we already made sets from them, so why would we bring them back?
We don't need to go back.
They're not falling into energized protodermis and needing a new set.
True. It is actually important to note that so each spinner does have a different power, and that power is tied to the character. Most spinners, I believe, essentially just make things go boom, right? A lot of the Vizorak have stun spinners, which we see at the beginning of the movie. Roodaka's spinner power is specifically mutation, and that comes up a lot in the series, but never in this
Interesting.
movie. Yeah.
Which is also, again, the like she's gonna turn you into something you don't like, which is subservient to her, because she's the queen.
Yep.
You guys ever see the tweet that's like a woman does some sociopathic stuff, her gays honestly work? Like, that's how I feel about Roodaka. It's like she could do whatever, and I'd be like, go off, queen, like you deserve it.
We say on this podcast it's a different meme, but I support women's rights, but I also support women's wrong.
Yes, absolutely. Women's rights to serve
To slay.
Women's rights to slay. Yes.
Yeah.
What an odd little movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it's
Yeah.
only 70 minutes. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
I expected it to be 90. I was like, 70 minutes, in and out, plot's done. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
It has a lot in it.
A lot of it's also just very quickly glanced over as well.
Oh yeah,
True.
we're gonna find yeah,
Kitangu.
Kitangu in a montage traveling by map. I was like, visually this is so different from the rest of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Why are we doing this?
You find him, he says, "Go back." Very
Yep.
next scene, they're already back, ready for war.
Yeah.
Which also, this movie plays with day and night like in a way that's not consistent. Like fully, they're like, all right, next scene, it's gonna be nighttime because the last scene was daytime, and then you get to the next scene and it's daytime again, and it's like the same day, and I'm like, did we not have a story editor paying attention to the days and nights?
Yeah. I mean, the other, like, so a few weird things that come up with Bionicle lore when it comes to day and night is I don't think any Bionicle characters need to sleep. And so
No.
we don't see them sleep
Probably not.
ever.
Well, what about all those Matoran in the stasis pods?
Okay, well they took a big long nap, and I guess Matanui, for that matter, is taking a
Matanui
big long
is
nap too.
asleep, and that is very important.
Yes.
And the Toa Mata were in those pods for a while in the ocean.
Oh, that's true. Okay. Well, the important ones need to sleep, I guess. But in general, they don't need to sleep. We never see any Bionicle character eating.
Nope.
Which is weird. But they explain it in the comics and stuff that they actually don't eat. They absorb energy of fruits and stuff through their hands,
Oh,
which is objectively weird.
Well, it's because all their mouths are good for holding the little spokes that their
Exactly.
kanohi are on.
They can't do anything else.
It's like the thing that the dentist puts in your mouth to do the X-ray. They're just
Yeah.
doing that all the time with their masks.
Gross.
Oh. That's a rough life.
They must have really good gag control. Just like, I don't know. I feel like I'm choking every time the dentist like shoves that in my mouth.
I feel that.
all the while they also like have a mask that emotes as
Yeah.
if they have a mouth.
Yeah. It's great.
Well, and then you have the Toa Ignika, whose faces are just like really bright whenever they take off their masks, and it just broadcasts their location to everyone on the island.
Yeah, flashbang going out.
Yeah, like why?
Yeah. So
Because
like
of reasons.
the day night cycle is very weird. On top of that, according to like the timeline, the span of Matanui falling asleep and Takua waking up on the island is 1,000 years, supposedly. Which means that the time that like from the end of Bionicle 2 to the start of Bionicle 1, it's been 1,000 years, which means most of the time is probably right now them as Roodaka or them just getting like the logistics of putting all of the
feel like
Matoran
it's-
onto ships.
Yeah,
and
I feel like
transferring
it's
them.
got to be like the journey also, though, because if there's like 100 years between the last one and this
Yeah.
one, I don't know why I keep asking the deep lore questions when I can just talk about how cool Roodaka is.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, I have the line. What she says she's going to do to the rest of the Toa Hordika is captured and trained just like him, which was the moment I was like, Dami Mommy is written down in my notes.
As it should be.
yeah, this is just a wild movie. And yeah, I don't know, it functions on its own separate from the lore. I think it just functions the best of the three as like, I'm going to sit down and watch a movie. It's going to tell me a complete story
Yeah.
beginning to end with arcs, and
They have a
Free
goal at
extra
the beginning,
sugar.
which is to free the Matoran, and then stuff happens that prevents them from doing that. And then at the end, they overcome that, and then they free the Matoran or whatever, right? Like it
Yeah.
is a very like. I
Yeah.
heard my college intro film prof being like, and then they enter the first door, which is getting back to Metro Nui, and then they have the call to action, which is when they fall to their deaths, and the Norik and the 5 other ones that don't matter for this movie rescue them. That's the only reason there's 6 in this movie is
Yeah.
because Norik can't rescue all of them.
True.
Well, and toys.
Well,
And toys.
no, well, yeah, and I want to see my toy in the movie, sure. I
Gotta
have,
get kids to buy all 6 of them.
you know, if I had had money as a child, I would have, is the thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
of course.
I think I had at least one of those. I had
Well, yeah.
Vakama. I had. Oh, now I'm forgetting all their names. I think it was. Oh, I'm gonna scroll down in my notes. My notes are tiny right now, so I can see everyone.
The Rahaga?
Well, I had one of the Rahaga. I don't remember which one. I had Vakama. I had the Black Vizorak, and I had Wenua.
Wenua. Ugh.
I can tell you right
Done
now that you
dirty
had
in this
Norik.
movie.
Okay.
Wenua.
I remember you having Nork specifically.
Yeah.
I don't know why that memory stuck in my head, but I do remember that.
It's because he's the one that matters for this movie.
Yeah, he's the
Yeah.
one with voice lines, so he is important.
Well, I guess 2 other Gaki and Iruni are credited.
True. Gaki does have voice
Yeah.
lines because she's like, "Oh, I'm old and
Yes,
reading things."
which again, Kathleen Barr
Yep.
Gotta love.
did a great honest. That's it. I'm like,
We'll
And
talk
Iruni,
about
who just
Kathleen
makes
Barr.
noises.
we can title this episode "Sam Gushes About Roodaka." I don't even know why. I was like, I don't care about her, and then I watched this movie and was like, this is the most compelling character in this movie, actually.
it's the femme fatale thing
Yeah.
that because that's how I feel about like Nightmare Alley with Kate Blanchett as Dr. Lilith, the best character in existence.
But also named Lilith, as in, okay, interesting.
Yeah, no, it has a lot of connotations. It's a fascinating. It is very good. People didn't like it, but I saw that the day that Spider-Man No Way Home came out, and I think I made the correct decision on that front. Anyway, back to the story here. John, you haven't said much about the story. I'm curious to hear what you think about this one.
Well, see, if when you put the entire context of the entire lore, the 100 Years lore between
Yeah.
the films, it makes more sense. But as a kid, I didn't read books, so all I knew was the films, and so all of a sudden, Vizirek, spiders, Roodaka. What the heck is the Rahaga? What the heck is Kitangu? Oh, okay, I guess all this stuff is happening now very quickly. Plus, I don't know. I always found this film pretty boring as a kid. I don't know why. Could be the darker tones just put me to sleep. But the story is something. Probably would enjoy it better with the context of the story. But my biggest gripe is with characters, and we'll talk about characters in a moment. But I don't really think about the story a whole lot. It's kind of, you kind of forget about it moving forward a little bit.
Yeah, as part of being placed in like the middle of the last movie, it's kind of like you can gloss over it pretty easily.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, we should maybe move on to characters and get a little bit
I feel like
more
we've been
in-depth
circling
to them.
around characters.
But yeah, I gave the story overall a 4 out of 5. I like the darker stuff. I like the weirder stuff. As a kid, I was trying to remember. I don't know that I had seen this one before. So I don't know that I had seen any of these 3 Bionicle movies, but I was aware of them. This one I had the most awareness of just because it was in like the Lego website when I was browsing there and when I was getting into Bionicle. But yeah, going back and watching this, it's like, oh yeah, this is more my vibe than the previous 2 have been.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's also something cool about like taking a familiar environment like Metro Nui
Yeah.
and just like making it dark and twisted. Like it's not just the Toa that are corrupted, right? It's also the city and like the things that have been seen before in an interesting way that like takes it like it's that like taking a familiar thing and making it twisted. It creates interesting stories, which I don't know that this movie is, but I think that the larger sort of more contextful
Mhm.
book series for these do.
There's also just really no semblance of like time and how long
Yeah.
things take. How
Yeah.
long did it take for the Toa to get to Kitangu? I don't know. From the montage to look like a week or a couple days. I
How
don't know.
long is a day? A scene. Don't worry about it. I don't know.
Well, and they exclude a lot of like, and obviously it's for the runtime, but they exclude a lot of what happens in the comics and stuff. In the comics,
Sure.
they all have their own little like field trips with each of the color coded Rahaga, and
Because segregation.
right, because segregation, and their field trips are to try and find airships to try and figure out if there were Matoran outside of the Colosseum, things like that, which they don't touch on here. They kind of just have the start part and then the end part, which is what they did with the last one too. And I can't fault them for it, but I do agree it hurts the like semblance of knowing when things are going on,
Hmm.
the timing of everything.
Yeah, I don't think this movie had like the emotional like tug at me that the last one did. Like, I don't know, there's something like, and it was specifically the scene where like Vakama sees a pod and then gets a vision of like all of these pods that are full of Matoran that I was like, whoa, like this is emotional. But in this movie I'm like, there's nothing really that like did that for me. And maybe it's just because like I know this, like I have known this story conceptually for so long that it's just sort of like, yep, thing happens, Vakama becomes bad, and then Roodaka frees Makuta. But
That's fair.
Yeah.
I,
So Sam and I both gave the story a 3.
it just seems like average, like corruption story, cool. Like
yeah,
can't. Yeah, it didn't feel like there was anything going above and beyond in this story for children in a 70-minute plot, which maybe that's the fault. But yeah,
that's fair. I give this a 4 because I think uh, there's a couple factors at play for that. This is the first Bionicle movie I saw. I watched them in the reverse order, in fact. And so I'm sure a lot of that is nostalgia. But another part of it too is like I think where the last movie tried to focus on a lot of the heroes all the time, this one was like, okay, we know which ones we want to focus on and we will focus on them. It kind of knows what it's doing a little bit better. And I think as an experience, if you like Bionicle lore and Bionicle story, I think this movie does a good job of kind of opening to the bigger lore of what's going on. Um, because now it's not just telling you the story; it's answering some questions that you might not have had, and also making you ask more questions. So for me, like this was one of those stories where I'm like, oh, okay, there's something bigger going on. And then not having any movies for
for the
several years
best
after this,
Bionicle stories.
yeah, it's like okay, I guess I have to do a little bit more research. I have to actually read. So there are parts of this movie, and I think we'll get more into it when we get to the characters. But I think the characters in this movie carry the story a little bit better than the previous one.
Yeah, it is more character driven. Which we have Vakama, who is once again the protagonist here.
Ugh.
I found his arc fascinating.
I understand he's telling the story, but I did not like him in this one, and then I watched the second
Okay.
one and was like, oh, actually, okay, I do like him in this, where he's like not self-confident to self-confident. Like that's a good arc. But here I'm just like, it feels like the character is doing things because he's supposed to. Like the story has decreed that he is going to go off on his own, and I didn't really feel like that was
You see, I think his arc is actually, when you're following the arcs, I don't think he's all that confident here. I think it's all a show.
Hmm.
sure.
Because he's like, okay, I've embraced my role as a leader from the last one of like, okay, I have the ideas, I'm gonna help these Toa figure things out, and then his first idea here almost gets everyone killed. And I think he just starts feeling like he starts questioning his self and
Mm,
like his abilities once again, kind of bringing up these old emotions. But now he's like, I don't know, there's all of this, the Roodaka venom and all of this mutations. It's like he's approaching it in a different mindset. So he like goes off on his own, and then someone shows up, Roodaka, and like red pills him into here's
Oh.
here's this movement. We're gonna just like filling him with these like,
Because that's true. Because like Roodaka does do the like, and she does it to Sidorak too. The like
yeah,
negging thing of like compliment followed up by a like negging in a way that is very like, my brain wants to say Vriska behavior, but this is like pre-Homestuck, so maybe Vriska is just Roodaka. But like it's a very just like, this is a woman who is confident in her sexuality, which is apparently a thing that Bionicles can have, that knows what she wants and is going to use it to get that.
yeah, she is a femme fatale, and we stand. But yeah, she is like serving this role in his own. She's like all of the negative thoughts that are
Yeah.
swirling around in his head that are, as Yoda says, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hatred, hatred leads to suffering. We're seeing that play out with Vakama here, where he's like, he's afraid. He is like, I don't think I can do this. And that leads him to be like angry of like, I'm going to go out on my own. I need to prove to myself that I can do this stuff. And then who shows up? Roodaka. And she's like, hey, you are more powerful than you are letting yourself be. And if you come along with me, I will show you the true power and put you in charge.
Yeah.
And
She's
then,
like, I have you tied up,
yeah.
and I'm going to make you do what I want.
And there's like, there is that like weird sexual aspect to it, which you don't expect in a kid's movie, but yeah,
Something for the adults watching,
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. I don't know how a kid would watch this movie, what they would take away from it.
Tropes.
Yeah,
they would take tropes away from it because
yeah.
it's the tropiness. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I just find that arc interesting of like, it's an arc that we see play out in real life. Often with men who are sort of feel put upon and feel emasculated, and then end up getting seduced by these like alt-right or these different sort of cult-like ideologies, and drawn away. And then hopefully they're able to have the Vakama where they make some friends and can help them get drawn out of that. But yeah, I just found it an interesting arc to put a character through. Very, very Star Wars prequel trilogy,
Yeah.
which is happening at the same time with Anakin.
George Lucas stole the Bionicle plot.
Right.
Though at this point,
Attack
Yeah.
of the Clones is out at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Revenge of the Sith as well.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Revenge
never
is-
mind.
came out
Sorry.
This year. Yeah.
Just I didn't say that.
but yeah, no, it is. Oh, go ahead, Toa.
This whole I feel like this whole movie like is really just the story of Vakama and Matau. Now Vakama has a great arc in the last movie. He has a really solid arc. Matau doesn't. And I think
I don't know.
they play on the arc in this movie really well. And they don't tell his arc in this movie overtly. It's very subtle. Over time, he realizes he's the annoying one, which I think is a very fun thing to do in a movie.
Yeah.
Especially, me watching this as a young boy thinking, "Oh yeah, I'm cool. I'm fun. I'm energetic." And then watching the green guy, who at this point the green guy was my favorite because he was green,
Yeah.
being like, "Oh, he's making everybody around him upset. Oh, he's changing his behavior so that doesn't happen. Maybe I should do that."
I think there's a note here that says Batau was originally supposed to have Vakama's arc. And I think that would have hit stronger for me. Like I really think, because then it could be the like, my friends are annoyed with me because I'm annoying, I'm going to go away. Like, I don't know, something about that hits.
It's also that Matao he didn't really have a whole lot of growth in the last film. Like he
That's true.
immediately is like,
He's
okay, I'm a Toa, that's great, but it's all for like the fame. Like I look so cool now. It's all vanity, and which
yeah.
is when he's upset about losing that his ability here. Um, one thing that Greg Farshty states that Matao should have had this arc with Vakama instead of Vakama. He did not like at all that Vakama was the one that turned bad at all in this one. So that was just something that he said.
See, I like the juxtaposition here because we see a lot of. I think this is something we don't see a lot of in the way that Bionicle does its storytelling in cliche ways a lot, but it also twists the cliche a lot. And I think it does a nice twist here in making Matau, who in the last movie is insufferable. He's really
Oh
annoying.
yeah.
And like
It's great.
in some ways, in my mind, I'm like, okay, yeah, make him the bad guy. Make me hate him. Like I don't care. That's fine by me. I've learned to love Vakama. And in this movie, Vakama is the one that's the bad guy. And it's not necessarily his fault that he's the bad guy here. He is trying his best. He's trying to complete his duty, and a majority of his issues stem from the fact that he's been injected with this venom that's making him mutate and turn into this, crazy monster. But a part of it too is he's kind of been put into the leadership position. From the last movie, we talked about how a lot of the characters don't really fit the role of the leader, but Vakama ends up fitting that role because he's got a strategic mindset. He's the visionary of the group, and he kind of puts everybody on the right direction. And at the beginning of this movie, I agree with Jay here. He's realized, okay, I have to be the leader, but what does that mean? And he thinks, okay, if I'm overconfident, if I don't tell anybody about how I feel about this, like we'll just push through, we'll make it, and hopefully everybody will follow along. Matau is not the kind of person to follow along. He's the one that is genuine to his core, and if people are not being genuine, he hates that.
Yeah.
And he's annoying for it, but that's who he is. And at the start of this movie, he's like, okay, I hate Vakama. Vakama thinks he's in charge. He thinks he's all that because he sees all of this as, yeah, I'm a Toa. It's vanity. I get to be the cool guy, and I'm not the leader. That's not fair. But the course of this film, Matau goes from that mindset to realizing, okay, if I want this Toa team to do well, I have to respect my leader. I have to choose my leader at the same time as he has to be willing to lead, and not everything is easy for him. And I really love that his arc could have turned into him killing Vakama at one point. He literally hints at that. He's like, okay, if Vakama can't turn, leave that to me. But instead, he does not, like, we find out at the end, his intentions were probably never to kill Vakama. In fact, he was willing to be like, I will do everything in my power, even if that means my own death, to bring Vakama back. And I love the only emotional part in this film, really, is that end fight between him and Vakama, which, by the way, is the best choreographed Bionicle fight in maybe all of cinema.
Well, there's only 4 movies.
I know, but
and a TV
I don't
show.
remember the fourth one having a lot of great combat, but it's decent combat.
It's not Takanuva jumping off of pillars fighting Makuta, though.
Exactly. They actually fight in this movie. We're not playing sports. We're not tricking people into hitting themselves. They're fighting. People are shooting spinners at each other. There's explosions at one point. Wenua takes his jackhammer straight to the jaw of a Visorak.
Oh, yeah.
That's metal, dude. I love that. But yeah, they have this like really cool fight. obviously the colors of the green and red, the Christmas colors, are inverted on each other with their eyes and armor colors. And it's this really cool, like, they have this good versus evil fight. And the whole time, Vakama is struggling with himself and these like evil thoughts that he's been given, and Matau is trying to remind him of his duty,
Yeah.
of his destiny. And that's the part that I love about this movie, is that fight right there. Him desperately trying to fix his mistakes in pushing Vakama away and trying to bring the group back together, realizing that unity is not the leader's job necessarily, it's everybody's job. Which leads to a wonderful arc of Vakama saying some really like hard hitting lines of, you can't betray someone you're enslaved to, which like that just goes hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, his whole arc concluding with, I lead only those that choose to follow. That's the difference between being a leader and a tyrant, it's a simple arc.
Yeah.
But I like it.
But the core conflict is also of this movie is also about like what is leadership, right? Like
Yeah.
because you have the whole Sidorak being like leadership is strength scene with Vakama, and then you have like it is the end that like Matau Vakama conversation where it's like, well, actually that's not what leadership is.
Which
That sort of brings it back.
is interesting with Vakama, I think, because his view of leadership, even in the last movie, he's more soft spoken than you would expect from a leader. And I think maybe at the beginning of this, he is trying to put on the show of being like his vision of a leader, which is, the strong person who's gonna fix everything. And that's what kind of leads him to go off, strike out on his own, and then that makes him vulnerable to Roodaka, who is feeding that concept of like power, strength. You need this stuff in order to be a leader. So yeah, with him embracing that at the end and having to embrace like, oh, you need to have compassion, and like it's not about strength. And him being a very different kind of leader. I think that's a very smart.
Yeah, but also if he
idea.
like feels like he's leading wrong because he led his team into a trap, then that opens. Yeah, okay, I'm maybe coming around on Vakama's arc, but I'm still like on it. I don't know. While we're talking about characters, I want to talk about the character designs, because I think the thing that always turned me off from these movies as a kid was that like the character designs don't always line up with the Lego models exactly.
Sure.
Where
We've
it's
theorized that since these are being made at the same time as the toys, we're wondering if they get the like
the concept art,
Yeah.
but not the. I think that's a good thing. I really like the copper that gets incorporated into the green on Matau. Like I think
Yeah.
that's such a good like jungle thing. There's a little Magic the Gathering has like villains that are like metal, and the green aligned ones are like copper and like forested, and I think it's really cool whenever you have like the green aligned character have like copper that's oxidizing on them. Because they are metal, because they are robot, while they also have lungs and muscles and hearts.
Yeah.
But like yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking quickly on the character design here, it's interesting because the actual sets for this have weapons in both hands, but
Yes.
in this movie they only have one hand that is the weapon. And not all of the parts are exactly correct. However, they do a better job of looking like the sets in this movie than they do in like Bionicle 1, where there's
Yeah.
a lot more organics.
Which is weird because the hand in the set is the elbow
Right.
to
Yeah.
the other hand, which is weird.
I think the thing that got me about Bionicle 1 was like, or no, it's actually like the thing that I think I didn't like the most was Vakama's mask. when he's a Toa Metru, because it doesn't like come like like the cheeks don't like come as far out as they should for the like it's much more like streamlined, like hair pulled back. And I think the masks are made less angular in the movie, like they're softened in a way that makes me be like, this is not my beautiful Toa.
Yeah. Yeah, they had to do some like weird stuff to try and figure out how they could show emotion while everybody's wearing a mask.
Right.
And they kind of just ended up on, okay, it's just their face. This is actually something that I think The Legend Reborn does a little bit better, but also they gave the characters teeth, so I don't know how to
Wait,
Yeah.
Legend Reborn does things better?
It does.
I
I
haven't
think
seen it.
visually it does a lot of things very
Well,
well.
okay, it was also like 5 years between this movie and that one.
Oh, for sure.
And a different company
studio.
doing it as well.
Higher budget as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There, like, everything's more one-to-one. Here, it's a little bit more creative.
Yeah.
How they interpret it.
Which, like,
Yeah.
now as an adult, I'm like, I don't really care that it's that different. Like, I can see the resemblance, and I think that's fine. But as a kid, I was like, this is a deal breaker.
Yeah.
I'm not
I
watching
mean,
this movie.
They did make Sidorak actually look cool in this.
Yeah, that
versus
is true.
the set where his face is just kind of parts of his face on top of a face. I still struggle with his actual set release, but
Do we want to talk
everything
about
beyond his
Sidorak then?
face looks great. It's just
Sidorak, he's here.
he's here.
He should have been a comic relief character.
I think he is.
But like, I wanted him to be I wanted him to be the not who are the Dark Hunters? Not Nidhiki, the other one. Greco.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted him to be like that, and then I watched the other movie and I went, well, I guess that's why they didn't do that, is because they just had that guy. But like what you were saying about the like taking credit for other people's stuff like makes him in this movie make more sense to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's something that was retconned in later, because like that's sort of how I feel about watching, like paying attention to Bionicle lore now as a comics fan is like very clear some of the ways that the writers are like building backwards. But like even the Makuta is one guy, and then actually wait, there's a brotherhood of Makuta, and there's a species that's Makuta, and it's like, well, and the one guy was Pterodax, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, okay, you just needed more actors and cooler toys, and so you just built that out, which is a fine. It's a fine way to do storytelling. Because part of storytelling as a DM for Dungeons and Dragons is like leaving yourself hooks to like come back to later. But yeah.
I don't know what I was gonna say. Anyway,
Well, if we want to go back to characters.
Sidorak? We're talking about him, or it's not the order that's in the document, but
I think we were on Matau, though I think Toa kind of covered his.
Yeah, I feel like I'm good. I don't know that I have anything else to say
moving on to
about Matau.
Nokama, then.
Yeah.
She's
feeling
here.
a little bit lost without Vakama, I think.
But also assuming the leadership role that she always should have.
Yeah. Which she had in the last movie.
She did, yeah.
It's weird how they treat her, and I kind of wish... I don't know, I feel like you could have had a story between this one and the last one that's just like them on the boat and Nokama and Vakama having like a sit down conversation about who's the leader here and what's our dynamic, which would make this part feel a little bit like, oh, she's without the person who is like the other leader, who has a lot of the ideas that end up working out in the last one. Yeah.
I think Nokama kind of serves the role of like the team manager in a lot of ways, but not the team leader. She's really good at making sure, everybody gets along, everybody's working together, they're going towards their next goal.
Because women are in charge of managing emotions.
Exactly. So
women can only be caretakers or romantic interests, hence the two female characters in this movie, the caretaker of the team and Roodaka.
Yeah. But I
Tropes.
think Nokama
Sorry.
does struggle with figuring out what to do next. And
Yeah.
so while in this movie, she still fills that managerial role of making sure everybody's together and moving forward. While Vakama's out, she's like, "Oh, we'll take the next red guy. Norik, you're telling us what to do now."
Mhm.
Which I guess worked.
Yeah, I feel like if they had been a little bit more intentional of thinking about her character as one of two women in the movie and the only one who is I guess there's one of only two actual characters that have more than two lines that are women, and the only one who is presented as not evil.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
they could have been a little bit more intentional with how they're presenting her, not, oh, she is lost without the man who is leading the team, and she immediately finds the next man to lead the team that she can.
Yeah. Also, Jay Gaki does have lines. It's like one line,
Two
but
lines. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
I will say I did brush up on some of the comics because I was trying to
Mm-hmm.
confirm like powers and stuff, and I'm pretty sure they can only use elemental powers through their Roodaka spinners.
I think they can use it using like the tools in their arms, and then they like put it into the spinners through those tools, if I'm remembering correctly.
Oh, that might be right too.
But then there's
Um,
I remember a scene that is not in this movie where like someone lets loose an elemental power and they're like, "Whoa, I'm super powerful," and the Rahaga's like, "Yeah, you were always holding yourself back because you needed to protect the Matoran around you, and now you are like actual super powerful, and you have to learn how to channel that." But that's
Yeah.
not in this movie.
I think that's actually Nokama does that. Um, like at first she's like, "Whoa, I'm actually super powerful," and then she's like, "Wait, I can use that." And in the comics, she does something like super cool. I wish we could have seen more of like this side of Nokama, but she shoots the clouds above a bunch of Vizrak with water. And doing that causes a lot of like static electricity and
Oh yeah,
causes a
wait.
storm that like electrocutes all of the Vizrak there. And
That's
it's like,
awesome.
that's so cool.
It's metal.
Yeah.
That's awesome. We can't put that in a movie though. The children's parents might be watching the movie. The children's parents are for sure not reading these comics or books though.
Yeah, John, you missed that conversation, and people who are listening to the recording of I was wondering if the reason that the movies are so watered down is because parents are a lot more likely to walk in and see a scene in the movie than they are to pick up the book and read the book.
Yeah.
So they're
Also, knowing where the books go after this, it's like, yeah, the mask of life is fused to this guy's face, and he went crazy because of it. It's like, whoa, wait, what?
Yeah, I wish we got more from Nokama here, because I don't know. I always, when there's like a team of guys and then there's one girl, I always gravitate towards the girl character. Just because, like,
Sorry.
I don't know. I was always better friends with girls in like elementary school. I don't know.
Well, she's also like, I mean, with like the lightning thing, I want to make a comparison to Storm on the X-Men,
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
which is also like, I know, a touch point for a lot of like queers. Like, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting thing of like, I just wish they gave her more to do here, but it's a 70-minute movie, and I mean, we need Roodaka.
That's true.
Yeah, but also you could have made it a 90-minute movie and
That's
had
true.
some super cool things happening in not a montage.
Yeah.
She is kind of sidelined in this movie. Not as much as the next three.
The next three who we can
Yeah.
all clump together and be like, they're here.
Yep.
Wenua, Onoa, and Nuju.
Who
Now-
they were all clumped together in the last movie also,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
did not
Which I
have
think-
as much character growth as the other three as well.
I think it's smart to be like, we didn't focus on those ones in the last one, so we're just going to completely sideline them in this one to focus on the ones
They'll
that
each
we
have
already
one
set.
moment of
Yes.
interest. Wenawa is going to explain the archive and the Vizrak in the beginning, and maybe use his hammer in the fight.
Mhm.
Nuju will use his eyeball to do a cool infrared thing to fight
Oh yeah,
stuff.
he does do that.
Which, by the way, does not make sense for
No.
any of the powers.
He
but
doesn't
okay.
have the mask of
Yeah.
X-ray vision. That's Kopaka.
Right. And then Onoi's there.
And
He's not racist anymore.
He says the key to Nangu. That's his line. He says that with his full chest.
That's it.
I will say, but also all their voices are distinct. Like if one of them characters speaks and you're not looking at them, you can tell which one it is. Like, I think Paul Dobson's Wenua is the best.
Mhm.
Like probably my favorite voice in this, like in this film.
Wow.
It's not my favorite performance because
Well,
Kathleen Barr's
we'll
Roodaka
We'll get to that. Yeah.
gets. Yep, we've been talking about Roodaka this whole time, and I don't.
There's a reason for that.
There's a reason for that.
But anyway, there's the Rahaga.
There's the Rahaga.
They
There's
are
Norik
also
and
this-
his friends.
Yeah.
They're also here.
They
We
are
mentioned this
more-
earlier too, just
go
to
ahead.
jump back to Nuju before we finish. This happens in the story, but yeah, he gives up on English just to speak bird. And that's very important because he only speaks bird as a Turaga in the future, where this is being told from. And they had to figure out some way to fit that in. Aside from, I believe, his first comic, where they didn't include that. And then also when he says the word Hordika.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, it's important because it introduces Motoro, who is
yes.
the best.
The bestest boy.
I fully thought, like, I had one nitpick for this movie, and then I double checked the lore and was like, well, this nitpick is nothing. At the end, when like it's Vakama telling the story to Takanuva and Jaller and whoever that third one was, I was like, this third one is not Motoro, who I thought was the chronicler. Motoro's never the chronicler. That was wrong.
No. His buddy Kopiki is at some point, eventually.
Well,
But
after Holly becomes a Toa, probably.
yeah,
The chroniclers need to stop getting other jobs.
exactly.
Like, it's their job
Such
to
a high
write things
turnover
down.
rate.
Why are they continuing to like go off and become Toa?
Maybe because
yeah.
it's a boring job.
I guess so.
They're like, I'm tired of writing other people's stories. I want stories written about me.
Which is the arc of although
Holly,
in that one
yeah.
he doesn't want to, he is forced to confront his own identity in the first one.
Yeah.
True.
But yeah, the Rahaga, they're more interesting when you know their story. You don't hear any of that in this movie. Like, I was watching the movie and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, who are these people? And then I was reading on the wiki afterwards, like, oh, they are former Toa who are now trying to help. And
Well, there's a thing too. It's like, well, like 4 of them get captured and mutated by Hordika, and then like the other 2 go and try to save them, and then like end up getting captured. Like
So-
there's an interesting arc here, and also it is too bad they never get to confront Roodaka because they deserve it.
Yeah. Like they're one of the coolest Toa teams because their whole job as a Toa Haga. There are several different Toa Haga teams. They are the last remaining one. Their job as the Toa Haga was to protect their Makuta.
Pterodax.
Yeah. They kind of catch wind that he's turning evil, and they're like, okay, we need to stop him. Roodaka lays a trap for them, mutates 4 of them while they try and get the Mask of Light from the Makuta. And then when the last 2 set the other 4 free, she mutates the last ones. And that's actually the catalyst for what Sidorak takes credit for. He says, oh, it was my idea. She might have done it, but it was my idea. And Makuta's like, oh, okay, yeah, makes sense. I won't question it. It's your word or a woman's word, so like, what am I gonna do? And so, they
Makuta Pterodax is a villain. He's allowed to be a little misogynist.
yeah,
He's a villain. He can.
which I think like Roodaka is like very power hungry.
Oh
and,
yeah,
like,
for
that's
sure.
her whole arc. But like when you know a little bit more context, you kind of want to see her succeed a little bit.
Oh
'Cause
yeah.
Sidorak
oh,
is
I
just
wanted to
the
see her
worst.
succeed anyway.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Sidorak's incompetent and the worst.
Yeah,
I just want to see her succeed because she's a badass lady.
fair.
Yeah.
And she constantly keeps getting closer to like being the ruler of something, right?
Yeah.
And then Sidorak's like, nope, I'm actually the ruler here. And then she gets Sidorak killed, mind you.
Yeah. Which brutally also, like,
oh yeah, love
I read that book as a child and went, should I be reading this book?
it. But yeah, and so like her whole story is good, but the Rahaga kind of, after they get mutated, they hide the Mask of Light in the archives of Metro Nui, which eventually, by the way, to tie it into the first movie, Toa Onewa fires a disc at it, it covers it with stone, and then they bring it back up to Matanui, and they hide
And
it somewhere, and
they
then they
find
act
it in
like
the
they've
lava.
never seen it before.
They sure do.
Yeah.
Listen, the Turaga have been alive for thousands of years. Sometimes they might forget it, but
Yeah.
also maybe they just get to have a little fun and just prank the Matoran and be like, yeah, we don't know what that is.
Yeah. I
We
mean,
have to spend this time translating the inscription on it. We don't have to know. We don't know what it says.
yeah, let's translate it in the language that is
Our
ancient and
language,
nobody's
by the
ever
way.
read, but is also on the highway sign. Like, yeah. So the Rahaga from there kind of just hide out in Metro Nui. Eventually, spoilers, they do get turned back into Toahaga, and they play a good role in the final fights of
They
the
go hang
series.
out with the Toamari, right?
Yeah, they actually fight the
Yeah.
Toamari at first.
Oh, I mean, that's
very
cool.
confusing.
The two best Toa teams. They
Yeah.
deserve to fight each other.
But overall, they're a cool Toa team. Now, it's to be noted, this year they released 2 extra Toa sets, Toa Norik and Toa Aruni, to tie it into their past.
Yeah.
However, those 2 sets were not supposed to be released for those characters.
Oh.
The initial characters that they were supposed to be released for were Toa Dume and Toa
Okay.
Nidiki, which is why
Oh.
with Aruni's mask, it's got these like shapes on it that look like Nidiki's
Nidiki's pincers. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why Turaga Duma as the set release has the same mask. How they explain it in lore is that the Toahaga, because at this point, right, now they have 2 sets with the same mask,
Right.
but they're different characters.
Yes.
And Farshti was like, well, I don't want them to have the same powers. So they explained it this way. Some of the Toahaga have mask powers that are different from the shape of their mask, to look like other masks, so that they can they're kind of secret agents.
It's like when like you should have a superhero whose name is nothing to do with their powers, so it like tricks the villains. It's like
yeah, literally.
Umbra.
yeah.
Yeah.
But also, again, this is lore for a children's toy line. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Like I understand we're here talking about Bionicle for hours. I also like love Bionicle. Also, these are toys. Like I don't want to lose context of that. Like ultimately we are talking about lore that goes super hard for Lego sets, which like also the point of Lego is that you can take them apart and put them back together in whatever combination you want. Like,
which is always my experience with, like, I missed a whole lot of this lore when I was just playing with Bionicle.
yeah.
It was like, oh, I would make my own Bionicle. I had my Grim Reaper character, which was cool.
And you thought that was a real character. It's like, huh, I've been looking up Grim Reaper, but I can't find that character.
I do not remember that. I just remember that he looked cool.
But yeah, the Rahaga are here. Norik is an exposition fairy and talks kind of like Yoda sometimes,
Yeah.
in like vocal tonation, not like sentence structure.
They also
the rest of them, some of them do talk, but they're just here.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
They have some of the biggest deviation in like set design versus movie design, because they don't have disc launchers. They have flying contraptions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where in the sets they have disc launchers instead.
Right.
Or the spinners.
Yeah. Or sorry, yeah, the spinners.
Which I think also that's a cool interpretation of the spinner.
Yeah.
Is like flying, but also like
in some ways
they can
I kind
fly?
of prefer it, because like I remember as a kid always like dropping the spinners, and they weren't as good for like posability, and
right.
I like the idea of having just like a little propeller blade there.
Yeah.
But
Which also could be cool gear functionality if
True.
that's what the set had ended up being.
Maybe that's what they originally intended, and it was just going to be too complicated.
That's true. If the movie is working off of concept art that the toys are also being worked off of,
yeah,
that could
that's
be.
possible. But I will say, Norik having like the little Rockshi fire
Mm-hmm.
end, but it actually be like glowing was always a cool design to me.
Yeah, because they've all got the heads of the Rockshi too.
Yeah.
Because Bionicle just reuses pieces.
They really said this year, hey, the Rockshi did really well. Let's sell them again,
The
but
Rockshi
not
are
have to sell as
cool.
many pieces.
They got the little
Yeah.
gummy worm inside.
They do. It's just as tasty too. Can confirm.
Forbidden gummy worm.
Yeah, we love
Truly.
microplastics.
Macroplastic.
Macroplastic.
Yeah.
Okay, we've been talking around her this entire episode.
We've been talking
it's time.
about her this entire
Oh, yeah,
episode,
yeah.
Jay.
This entire episode is dedicated to our queen, Roodaka, whomst we stand unconditionally.
She
Right.
is this was the bit where I was like, oh, like, so there's the bit where like she has Vakama tied up and it's like doing her like cool chest rub or whatever. And then they're like walking and talking. And she goes, throw yourselves off the edge to a bunch of Vizirek, and they just do it. And I went,
Yeah.
oh. Like, it's
Yo.
just, oh. She's cool. I love a character who like, especially I love a female character who's like unhinged and like knows what she wants and like has the ability to get it, and then things keep preventing her from getting it, and she just becomes more and more unhinged as she like keeps trying to get it. And that's Roodaka.
Yeah.
She
To a T.
is
And like
wonderful.
they kind of play it in a weird way where like from the get-go she does not like Sidorak at all.
Also, from the moment she steps in the room, she has the power. Like,
oh yeah. But kind of the way they play it is like, oh, she's in love with Makuta. She wants to be with Makuta, not Sidorak.
yeah.
But it's also like everything outside of this film, lore-wise, not that way at all. She's like, she wants to be in good graces with Makuta. She wants the power, but again, she's using him again. So it is a little bit, I wish they had added a little bit more context to that, but I understand that they couldn't. And I also don't know how much was retconned later, too.
I wish that, yeah, I think they should have held off on the reveal that, like, the pacing in this movie when it comes to Roodaka is so weird to me. Because, like, you see her carve the crystal, this is the first thing you see.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And then she, like, just has it sitting in her chest. And she doesn't, like, it's never talked about. Like, we had to explain to Jay what that was.
Oh, no,
Makuta
I
got
knew
free.
what that was. I was confused as to why
Oh,
breaking
okay.
that would have anything to do with the
But
rest
like,
of the...
from what I remember, it's like a thing she's hiding inside her armor, and then like at the very last minute pries it up, which is when Norik's like, oh crap, we shouldn't do this. And like she's just walking around this whole movie with it like just displayed there. And I was like, okay, this is the one thing I will be a little craftier. Vakama knows what that is. Why are you just having it there?
Yeah. Also, so does Sidorak. Sidorak knows
Does he?
exactly what's going on, but he makes no mention of it. It feels like in this movie it's a little secret between her and Makuta that she's actually working for a more evil person. But they're both working for Makuta.
I kind of, my interpretation of it, not knowing the backstory, was that, like, yeah, they're both serving Makuta, but she's just like the cutthroat second in command who is like working her way up the ladder. This is her like next obstacle, and so she's kind of going behind his back to get in Makuta's good graces.
Yeah,
even
in a
though
way
they're
that he
both
can't
working
take credit
towards
for.
the same. Yeah, they're both working towards the same goal, but she's doing her own thing, which I think is an interesting contrast to. So unity is a big thing in the Bionicle universe. And so to have the two villains of this be like constantly working against each other and undercutting each other, and specifically Roodaka undercutting Sidorak,
Hmm.
is just a smart way of treating, like, yeah, it's chaos instead of unity, and that is kind of their downfall.
Yeah.
She makes some dumb decisions near the end that I'm like, come on, you're better than
Well,
this, Roodaka.
so the thing for me is like Sidorak has this whole speech about how like strength is strength and that's how like what leadership is. And then he just gives control of the Visorak to
Yeah.
Vakama. And I'm like, wait, does Vakama not have to prove himself? And then
So
at the end, Vakama's
yeah.
like, guys, leave. And they do. And I was like, wait, what? But we've already established that the Visorak follow Rudaka over Sidorak. So I don't know.
So yeah, this I actually had to look up a little bit. So Sidorak has primary control over the Visorak.
Yeah.
Even when Rudaka has her secondary control, it is not greater than Sidorak. Sidorak has ultimate control. He just kind of lends. He gives the password to other people.
Sure.
And essentially he gives the password to Roodaka first, and then Roodaka gives the password to Vakama. And Sidorak can overwrite that at any time, which is why it's very important that he dies in this film.
Right.
Because now that falls onto the next in command, which Roodaka's like, it's Vakama, thinking prior to this, if she ever needed to get that key back from Vakama,
She could easily do that. She could tie
she could
him up
either
and get it from him. Yeah.
either manipulate Sidorak into doing it or kill Vakama or whatever. But yeah, kind of a big flaw in the plan to be like, oh yeah, you've betrayed your friends. Now, surely you'll never betray us. There's no cycle there.
Which maybe she's overestimating her own powers of seduction, which I would buy that.
I would, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, I when I was watching it, I was thinking the same thing of like, oh yeah, you just walked into that in a way that's a little bit unsatisfying, since I'm kind of rooting for your character. She's not like as much of like a person to root for as Dr. Lilith in Nightmare Alley, who actually has good reasons for what she does in that one. But
Yeah.
yeah, she I don't know. I was a little bit disappointed with her plan overall, but it makes sense, I guess. I wish she had
Yeah.
gotten to use that giant
Beast.
Visorak a bit more.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, the giant Visorak is cool. That was another. Hey, we got to bring the gold one on because we sold it as a set, and people have to see their set in the movie.
Yeah.
You
Was the
could have done a
janitor
whole
Visorak a
piece.
set?
Yeah, but it was a normal Visorak size.
Yeah,
It was actually a set though?
yeah.
Oh.
They
Oh,
had the smaller figures that you
Mhm.
The
could build on top
minifigures,
of it. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, there were
So-
actually, I believe, 2 Fortress sets released that year where it's brick, but they gave
Oh,
like
no, sorry.
Bionicle minifigures.
Yes. I meant it was the Visorak janitor a set.
Oh,
No.
well, I mean, I think
It
he's
could
just
be.
It's just
Yeah.
a regular Visorak.
yeah, no waxing machine included. You'd have to build that on your own, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, Rudaka's great. I've already said my piece.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
did not expect to come into this movie liking Rudaka as much as I did. And she stole the show from the moment she stepped into the scene on that Visorak.
And the writers, by the way, after this point, love Roodaka. They include her in whatever they can. They decide that she's the reason why Nadiki was mutated to begin with. She's, behind the Toa Haga. She's later behind them transforming again. She's put on this like Suicide Squad, for lack of a
She's
better
a
term.
more interesting villain than Pterodax, than the Makuta. Like, because the
films,
Makuta's
at
just
least.
like,
In
I
films,
am
for sure.
evil shadow, whatever. And she like is actually a character with wants that is interesting to play with from a writing perspective, because you can like give them what they want and take it away. Whereas Makuta is just like, yeah, I want Mata Nui dead. Also, is Mata Nui a tangible thing? Not really yet.
Yeah, she's very elastic in how you can use her, because yeah, you can put her on a team with like other characters who are begrudgingly working towards like a good cause because it serves her purposes in that moment, and then she can switch back and forth. It's smart. a smart character, and I think it makes sense that they keep bringing her back because
she's
isn't
great.
that interesting.
Yeah, Makuta, they were like, we've done all we can with this guy. What if there were more of them?
Yeah.
It's as a concept, Makuta is very interesting because I think initially Makuta is kind of presented more as like a dark spirit, where
Right.
he's like not tangible, not controllable, not physical really in any way, and that's like the first few times we see him.
He's infecting Rahi or whatever.
Yeah, and we
I'm
see
not
him like
really clear on the first year of Bionicle.
yeah, he's infecting Rahi. He shows up in the form of a Matoran and then kind of turns into this like shadow monster, and it's very
Okay.
cool and interesting. And in the first like year or so, it's kind of inferred that he and Matanui are kind of like the same. They're kind of in
because
the
they're
same realm.
brothers.
Yeah,
Which the Toa are also described as having sibling relationships. So like
Right.
it would put them on the same level.
right. So it's very interesting. And then they kind of at 2003ish, they're kind of like, okay, he's just kind of a very large evil guy
Yeah.
that's been manipulating things in the shadows and is just big and strong.
Yep.
And they
Which
kind
works
of keep
for
that.
kids, for your base audience.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
that's the villain you root for. Something where Roodaka, with a little bit more nuance, is like, okay, yeah, villain, but the big guy is this guy. But of course,
Yeah.
as we grow up, it's like, we want some more nuance and
Yeah.
pizzazz.
Which I think we get a little bit more later on when Makuta no longer is this like big brooding villain. You realize
Yeah.
like, oh,
he's had a
this
plan this whole time.
Yeah, he's this master manipulator. Most of his like persona of being this big brooding villain is just to scare people into doing things that he wants, but he's really
Right.
just this cold, calculated being that is just after ultimate power.
Which he
and-
gets.
Yeah,
He
and
gets
it's very cool. But yeah, in these stories, we don't see that. He's very flat, very
He's a shadow monster.
yeah, Bionicle.
Whose
Satan.
design does not match the set. That is not the mask of shadows on his face.
Also true, but that's also that's a prototype issue. They were
Ah.
combining two masks at that point. They're like, it's probably gonna look like this mask plus this mask, and the
Oh.
animators were like, oh, okay, and then they released it, and it was like, that's
And then they were stuck with the
Not
movie
quite.
design and had to do it in 2 more movies.
exactly. But yeah, moving on to Roodaka's worse half. King.
They're not
Sidrak.
even halves. It's just a
That's
guy. Roodaka's
yeah.
boy toy, who she likes to manipulate.
True.
Uh,
He
he's
is the villain that you love to hate. Like, not that he's lovable in any way, but you're glad to see when he does not do well, when he fails. It's just good
Because he
overall.
hasn't deserved any of what he's achieved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
it's like it's so fun how the film is constantly subverting his attempts to seem menacing or in control by just having Roodaka be there and be like, actually, you're
Yeah,
not
pretty
in
much.
control. I'm just letting you think you're in control because it is convenient for my goals right now.
Sidorak's like, hey, Vizirek, go do this thing. And the Vizirek all look at Roodaka and she's like, go do the thing. And then they go do the thing.
Yeah.
Which,
Like-
yeah, doesn't make
It's
sense
like-
with the end when it's like they put Vakama in charge and he tells them to go and they're like, okay,
And then
bye.
they do. And I'm like, did Roodaka not tell those Vizirek to throw themselves off of the tower? And they did?
Which maybe his speech about setting them free, maybe that.
Oh,
that
that's
was-
true. Maybe the Vizirek chose to follow Vakama.
Oh.
If any of them had any interiority, we would know.
There's the janitor.
Yeah.
He
I wish
he has
we'd
tons of
gotten more.
interiority.
No, he doesn't.
The thing that I think is fun about Sidorak is that he, like, you can see he wants the power. He wants the big chair. He wants
Yeah.
that
He
authority.
has a nice big chair.
Yeah,
It
but he
spins
doesn't.
nicely.
It does spin very nice.
It's a
I also love
face.
that it's made out of like a Bionicle head, so it's kind of like
Yeah.
a skull chair.
Mm-hmm.
Very like Bond villainy. But he's like he doesn't want responsibility. He just wants the power. He loves his current setup where Roodaka's doing everything, he just gets to sit in his big chair and yell at the spiders.
Yeah.
This
he
is
would be totally fine if this current situation continued and Roodaka was the one actually in charge, but he got to
still sit in his
yeah.
nice house with his nice things and still be called
King.
king.
the emperor.
Yeah.
I was trying to reference a Bill Wirtz bit about like the
Oh.
history of the Japan or whatever,
Sure, yeah.
where it's like the shogun can still sit in the anyway. Explaining the joke always makes the joke funnier.
I agree. I'm laughing.
Listen to Serious Business. We do that all the time. It's great. I don't know.
Yeah.
I also, for me, the moment where I was like, "Oh, Sidorak," was when Roodaka was like, "All right, you kill this guy," and then he was like, "I can't," and she was like, "I know," and then he got crushed by a giant hammer.
That
It
scene
fully
goes
was
so
like,
hard.
"Oh,
So good.
loved it."
Yeah, that moment of betrayal when the that's always very satisfying when you
Well,
had
especially
this
because it was
build up.
so inevitable, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the culmination of what's been happening this whole
Yeah.
time.
Well, and you love to see it too because it's Roodaka doing Roodaka things where she probably
Yes.
could kill him just straight up,
Oh,
but she's like, I'm not even gonna dirty my hands with this. You don't deserve it. I'm gonna let this Rahi beast that can talk sometimes kill you,
Just smash
and then
him
he's not gonna be on the
bits.
battle anymore.
Yep.
We won't see him for the rest of the movie until the end.
that's okay.
He had fun destroying Sidorak, I guess.
Yeah, maybe he was just like dismembering the body or something.
Yeah.
Well, also like, doesn't Kitangu have motive to kill Sidorak? I forget. Didn't Sidorak like do something to Kitangu, or was it just
I
like
think so.
Kitangu was like, "No, I'm not going to help you fight," and then Kitangu did in fact show up to the fight?
I think because Kitangu's lived in Metro Nui for a long time, I'm pretty sure. So he doesn't like that Sidorak has kind of destroyed it. So I'm pretty sure he hates that part at least.
I thought there was like a personal,
I feel like there
they
is too.
imprisoned
I
him
just
or
don't
something.
remember it. Yeah. Yeah.
I think they might have mentioned something in the dialogue, but I don't remember exactly. Definitely seemed personal the way he was climbing up that tower.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of the Kitangu, is interesting. He's a plot device in this movie, but he has some cool moments. And I do love the menacing like thumps into the building as he's just climbing up it. He's just this inevitable force, which I don't know why that was his plan entirely. Like, I guess it worked.
Also, like, can you go up the inside though? Like, aren't there stairs or something?
There's an elevator, but they were kind of on the elevator. So,
okay.
It's like the tower in Tron Legacy. That's what it was reminding me of.
Ooh, true. Yeah. The end of the line.
End of line?
End of line.
Where Daft Punk is playing?
Yeah.
I've seen that one.
Thing.
Martin Short in the best role in the movie.
It's a great part of the movie. Anyways.
Hear more about that on our Tron Legacy
in this
podcast.
movie that sounds like Yoda, but then it turns out he can only say like no, and then has to talk in. I think he talks in the bird language that Nuju ends up speaking, or am I wrong on that?
I think so. It's
I feel
kind
like
of
Nuju learns
50-50.
it from him.
It's definitely partially. Nuju learns it mostly from Koalas, but it might also be from Kitangu himself. Yeah,
I just remember the set for this one being just looking cool in the Lego magazine.
I thought the set for Kitangu looked stupid. I'll be honest.
I like that.
I don't know.
I like that his chest piece is a foot.
Yeah.
That he had the Roodaka spinner in his chest was kind of cool because all of the Toa you had to like pose in a specific way to shoot forward. His just shot forward all the time, which was cool, except that it also meant that the disc fell off a lot.
Right.
And like it did have a mechanic where like it was closed in until you unlatched it, so it wouldn't fall out if you're just playing with it. But if you wanted to shoot the disc forward, you had to like lean him back a little bit so that the disc wouldn't fall off or the spinner wouldn't fall off. It was
Yeah.
nice
For
in
shooting your
concept.
siblings with a spinner, as
Right.
they were designed for.
Yeah.
Shoot them at your siblings.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, interesting design. He is like in the story, he is a Rahi. He's not like
Yeah.
a dude. He's an animal essentially, but he's the smartest of the animals, kind of.
Yeah. It's like if a
Which-
cat had superpowers.
Yeah.
It could talk.
It brings up so many odd questions about like personhood in the Bionicle
Oh, certainly, yeah.
universe.
Well, especially with like the Kanohi dragon, or like even the like Rakshi aren't Rahi, or the Borak aren't Rahi, but like, are they kind of they're people though? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. If they can talk, it's a person. Don't worry about the bird language, and yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
I guess that's not unlike real life with animals
Yeah.
that can communicate.
Octopi
each other
will
and with
be
humans.
animals until the point that we can communicate with them, at which point they will become full members of human society.
Right.
Like,
Oh, for the day. I just saw a creepy video of an octopus. Anyway, that
Happy for
that
you.
is-
that's for next
Yeah,
time with the
that-
Baraki.
Yeah, true.
There's an
Oh, I
octopus
had-
one, right? I think the octopus was the cool one.
Actually, squid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with the
I
three
had the
eyes.
one that glowed in the dark. That was
Ooh, the eel one. He was cool. He
no.
could shoot
This was like
electricity.
the
Yeah,
big
the
one.
4R ones, the general.
Oh, the
Grade one.
Gadunka.
Yeah.
No, no, no,
No,
no,
that
not
one
No,
was
Gadunka.
Nocturne.
Nocturne. I think
Nocturne, yeah.
is.
Oh, I don't know any of their
Gadunka's cool,
names.
though.
They're all sea
Holy
monsters though.
Gadunka.
Yeah,
Duncan, watch out. He's armed.
I did watch that yesterday. Also,
That one's a banger.
it's. I thought it was longer than it is. It's 4 minutes.
It's exactly 4 minutes. Yeah.
All right, that's my notes on characters.
Pretty much all the characters of this film.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. I can't
Yeah.
think of anyone else that is of note. Janitor.
Bakuda, he's a crystal.
Makuta has the least prominence in this film of the 3.
Yeah. Which is for the better.
Yes, we have an interesting villain now.
Yes.
We
He was
saw Takanuma
interesting in the
in-
last one as Turago Duma.
Yeah, I think they. I have like pacing issues where with this movie and the second one, where it's like they cut to the villain doing a thing for like 5 words and then cut to a different scene and then cut
Yeah.
back to the villain doing that thing, and I'm like, why are we cutting this much? Like, let the scene play
I was
out.
wondering if they were cutting for TV broadcast or something.
It could be, but
Where,
then
like,
usually that's a
every
different
7
release
minutes
from
you have-
the. Yeah, usually then that's a different release from like the home video or whatever.
But they might have just done one edit. 'cause
Yeah.
It's easier.
Like,
I also
maybe like 10 minutes passed in between those two things, so we'll just
yeah, it's another day is the thing. It's a full day and
That's
night
true.
since it's
Yeah.
happened.
sure.
It was night for one scene and now it's day.
Maybe that's why it takes 1,000 years, is because the days they're just going by fast.
The days are like an hour long, and so
Yeah.
it's actually not that many.
Yeah. Anyway, I gave the characters a 4 out of 5. I'm wondering if, because I liked the characters so much here, if that's why, or I guess a lot of the characters. I like Vakama's arc and I like Roodaka as a villain. And I think that's why I had a more positive overall opinion
Yeah.
of this movie.
It was just, I don't know. The characters for me, other than Roodaka, all seemed pretty flat. Even the like Vakama and Matau stuff, I think because, like you were saying, Toa, it's a little more subtle.
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
I gave it a 4 as well. I love the new villains that they play off each other really well. I love Bakama and Matau in this, and they made sure to focus on the characters that were actually prominent in this without
Yeah.
making like they didn't not include the others, but it was they were more definitely background characters.
Mm-hmm.
There was no question of that in this. So I think overall their characterization was a lot better in this. And I thought it was just good.
I gave the characters a 3. I didn't love the way some of the elements were handled in this film, particularly with Vakama. I like what they did with Mattel and with his arc, but I don't know. After loving Vakama's journey in the other film, it didn't really work as well for me here for like the 70 minutes that they have to do it very quickly as well. So
You're
it's
maybe
not
more aligned
as
with Sam on that.
believable.
Yeah.
Listen, I gave everything a 3 because I was like, this is an average movie, except performances. I gave 4.5 because of Roodaka.
Hold up.
Spoilers.
We're going on to visuals now, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry. Visuals was a 3 because they were fine. I don't know. I really
thought-
liked the opening animation where the fog that was like going through
Yeah.
the city looks like the Vizirek. That was really cool.
The quality is better than the last one, which we're watching these linearly, so
Mhm.
we're seeing the improvements year to year. And yeah, this one just blows the other two out of the water. The way the characters actually look like toys here,
Yeah.
rather than just like, I don't know how to describe them in the first one.
I don't know.
They're
I
just
think the
kinda like-
Matoran models in the first one were pretty close to the Matoran toys.
but there's something about the
that's just
level
'cause
of
they were
detail.
so simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and from the first one, they had weird like fleshy bits.
Yes.
That in
Yeah.
the second one and in this one, they kind of converted into a mixture of like organics and robotic cabling and stuff,
Yeah.
which I think does a lot better. I think visually, you can tell from like an animation perspective, the studio working on this is getting a lot better.
Yeah.
There were a lot fewer animation issues that I noticed, and yeah, even with like the smoke stuff, like you can tell that they're getting better technology and learning how to do like different like volumetrics and stuff better than in previous films where it's like, oh, we have generic smoke, we'll just put that everywhere. In this
Mhm.
one they're like, we have cool smoke, we're gonna have some dust particles, we're gonna have Vizirac clouds, like it's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
And that works for the setting too.
There was the bit where the Vizirac design also I feel like did a really good job from the toy. Adding the like grinding mouth to the Vizirac makes them
Yeah.
scary in a way that the toys are not, and I think that's a very good add. The electricity effects are still where I'm like, there are like, this is not rendering super well, like it's a weird cloudiness.
Yeah.
But also like, oh yeah, it was serviceable, it was good. I thought the like travel by map section where it's like we're gonna go find Kitangu through the city was weirdly not like aligned with the visuals the rest of the movie was presenting. And there was a point where like it was after Vakama has like turned, but he has a conversation with Roodaka, I think, where it's like we see the Rahaga up like hanging over the cliff or whatever, where it's like slightly a canted angle, which was like a really nice touch. But other than that, there wasn't any like camera choices that I like super paid attention to get my film studies background in here. It was just like, yeah, none of the choices really felt like super out of the box. This is not Wes Anderson's Bionicle, which is fine. I think that would be a wild choice, but he does do stop motion, so actually that could be interesting.
One day.
One day.
Yeah, I just, for me, having seen the previous two before this, and part of it is just that this is more my type of visual aesthetic. John and I talked a lot about this in the Barbie movies, but
Right.
evil villain layers are my catnip. Just give me a good evil villain layer, and I am the happiest person on
We
earth.
heard you like an evil villain layer, so we turned the whole city
Yes,
into an evil
it's
villain
awesome.
layer.
There's webs all over the place, and it's creepy, and it's green, and like, it's
menacing
Perfect.
fog.
The commercials for
The commercials do a good job of atmosphere.
I like the way the commercials visualize the overgrown Vizirac web than
Yeah.
what we get in this film,
Yeah.
which is a choice,
Ooh.
definitely depending on what you like. But
I should see if I can get a bumper sticker that's like the skyline of Metro Nui. That would be fun.
Oh.
Yeah, I think the one downside to this and how they did like the montage, for instance, is the last film they went all around. Like they have a habit of going around the entire island,
Yes.
and showing off different parts of it.
Which is a good introduction to the world.
Yeah, and I love that. But in this film, they show Tom Etru from a distance. They show the Colosseum, and then they have a montage of everything
Yep.
else for the most part. And I kind of wish we had seen a little bit more of each location. Like they could have, I don't know, they could
or
have
just more locations to be in than just nighttime at the Great Temple.
Yeah, exactly.
And daytime at the Great Temple. Sorry, no.
Right.
The Nutcracker and the Four Realmed it, where it's like it's really two realms, but the other two are going to show in montage. That's a reference everyone is going to get because Nutcracker and the Four Realms is a very
Listen,
popular
sometimes you
Disney
got to
movie.
do a thing that's just for you. It's your podcast.
And that one listener that's like, that is very funny. I love that.
I'm listening to a podcast, and two of the people went to the same college as Jay and I, and sometimes they'll just talk about the place that they bought alcohol in at college, and I'll be like, hey, that's where I buy alcohol now. I love this. This is for me specifically.
But yeah, I do think at the same time they don't need to establish the parts of the city. In a lot of ways, you can watch Bionicle 2 and 3 back to back as a single movie, and it's only like 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's the length of a normal film nowadays.
Gross. I hate it.
And if you watch it like that, then it's like, oh, okay. Well, they don't need to reestablish everything because they've done that. So yeah, I do love the Vizirac webs. I love also in this film, it's very subtly done. I didn't pick up on it until this last watch, but especially Matau uses the webs like vines, which is perfect for his transition into a Turaga that lives in the jungle. Like I thought that was really fun. And yeah, it's got those dark, spooky elements. We don't see a lot of like the Rahi beasts that have been let out of the archives, aside from the ash bear that attacks Vakama and like a weird centipede thing at the beginning. But they have enough of those to like make you feel like, oh, this is a little spooky. So
yeah, it's a little bit of hot sauce.
Yeah,
I like to compare horror elements to hot sauce, and different people like different spiciness levels. And this is a kids movie, so they can't make it too spicy.
Yeah.
But
The howl, I don't know if this is like where this fits in the criteria of like the order we have to talk about.
The order
things.
isn't all that important.
Okay, great. But like the howl that Vakama does when it's so like, oh,
I love it.
That was like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah, it's just so good.
Maybe I'll get to that. I don't know. Speaking quickly on that, they mix a lot of animal sounds with different character sounds. Roodaka is always paired with the sound of like a rattlesnake hissing and stuff. And Vakama has these like very like lion and tiger roar and growls mixed in, which adds to the animal side without it also being like this is strictly an animal film. It's also like this is a Bionicle film where they're kind of beast-like,
but not as beast-like as we will get in down the line. Like
they're dipping the toe in the shallow end of the furry pool.
Yeah, it feels a bit like Bionicle has at this point gone like, all right, we got real good at action figures that are action figures. What else can we make these action figures be?
Yeah,
and it's like this is the first sort of try to like get action figures that are not just
our first themed line.
Yeah,
exactly. And we see a lot more of that going forward.
Oh, certainly.
Hero Factory.
I mean, they did the animal ones.
Yeah, they did.
I don't know. I also think you brought it up. I think the Hero Factory like kits are the best iteration of the Lego action figure. I think the like ball joint in the middle of an arm is a real good technology that they added.
I
Sure.
highly disagree, but we'll move on from
Fair.
that.
We
This
can
is not a
talk
Hero
about that
Factory
when we
I
get to
episode.
Hero
respect your
Factory.
opinion, but I will have differing
It's
opinions when we get to it.
it's less customizable.
That's my biggest downside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, John and I, and if we have other people on, we'll talk about that when we get to Hero Factory. But yeah, I did want to mention here that just like the action scenes are so much better here than they have been in either of the other two. Because in the first one, you can tell they're having some trouble making the clashing of swords look like a thing that would actually happen. And then in the second one, they subvert that by being like, okay, all of the action scenes are people shooting things at each other and dodging those things that they're shooting, which is a smart thing to do, but it is kind of very constraining. Here, they're just going all out. It's still a lot of shooting things at each other, which...
It's a lot of shooting things at each other.
But I don't know, it felt more exciting, and yeah, it's just the animation of it and the choreography of it. They're improving in that in a really big way, and it makes the third act really exciting, which is something that I haven't felt of the other two movies. They've kind of had third acts that I was a little bit let down by, whereas this one, it just brings everything to that third act, this big all-out battle, and all of the characters are there. Just, yeah, wonderful.
Yeah. The last fights of the last two movies are sort of like a platformer where like the boss has a set pattern and the heroes like figure out the pattern and then use it against them, and the end of this movie is like a MMO where you're just going against like hordes of enemies or whatever. It's like not an MMO, but the Destiny Warriors, like all the
And this movie doesn't shy away from violence like the previous two.
Yeah.
Obviously,
No.
this is the last in Miramax's contract with Lego.
Creative Caper. I don't know that. I think Miramax was just doing distribution.
They were doing like publishing and stuff, but they worked with them. Yeah. But
I
either way,
imagine that.
it's
that looked like behind the scenes.
It's the last one in the trilogy, so they have a little bit more that they can do, because it's not like Lego's going to be like, well, you can't make another one, because they weren't going to let them make another one anyways. So they add a little bit more violence in, and like we see some pretty awesome like combat scenes. Like obviously I talked about the Matau versus Vakama combat scene, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But we also see things like Wenua jackhammering a Vizorak with his like jackhammer arm to the face mouth, or Nokama just straight up blowing up Vizorak with her like Roodaka spinner, or
Kitaku just
Sidorak
smashing.
getting
I mean,
destroyed.
that's the big one, isn't it? Like
and the final enemy is not taken out by themselves or by a sports ball. They're killed by the guns. All 6 people had to shoot her with their guns.
Yep.
And that's how they take her out.
It's not as thematically interesting, because sports ball was like, Takanuva accepting himself, Wakama being clever, doing what he does. This one's like, fight.
This one's about the unity.
Bang, bang. Kill,
and
slash,
their duty
stab,
to the Matoran and their
smack.
destiny, which is killing Roodaka.
Yeah.
Giant hand.
Giant hand.
And then they free the giant hand.
Giant
which
spider.
is the worst enemy of the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Those gloom hands you gotta fight.
Those just have a big health pool.
Yeah.
Otherwise they'd be fine. Anyway. Speaking of Makuta.
I think as overall visuals have been improved. It's still, it's still a movie made in 2005. Like, I'm not kidding myself. This is not a visual masterpiece.
No.
But it's better than the previous two.
So I watched Shrek 2 was in theaters because it was 20 years old. I watched Shrek 2 with my D&D group this week. I think this movie has better visuals than Shrek 2.
Oh,
now it's
hey
all
now.
trying to accomplish different things. I will not say this is a better movie than Shrek 2. It's not. But I think like visually the backgrounds are better done. Like, which also, like, this is 3 years later. The like character models, because they're not trying to approximate humans, they have a little bit more leeway before I hit the uncanny valley. But like overall, yeah, it's like it's fine, it's serviceable. I
The
saw
lighting.
the lighting.
The lighting's better in this film than it was in the last one.
Yeah,
There's a few times in the last film where they use just like regular pin lights, and they just kind of like have them obviously floating there where you can't see them, but you can see the reflection. This one has a lot more smooth lighting, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, I gave it a 3.5. It's better than the last one. It's not perfect, but it's enjoyable. It's watchable.
Same with me.
I gave it a 3 because I wasn't watching this movie to score it, you guys. I was watching this movie to talk about it and have fun. So
That's
you asked me
fair.
to score it.
I mean,
Ugh.
to be fair, the scores are more our way of John and I when we need to do our ranking videos at the end and talk about 41 Barbie movies, knowing
Oh, okay.
which ones to put above other ones. So yeah, but yeah, I gave the visuals a 4. This is my jam. It's evil layers, it's horror elements. If in a perfect world they would have gone even further with that, but obviously this is a kids movie, so
Yeah. They also do a good job of making the Vizirax spidery, but not like spidery enough that like anyone with like severe spider issues are gonna be freaked out by it.
Sure.
yeah, I always appreciate that.
So moving on to performances, and I know we want to talk about her, but
There's
let's
only
let's
there's-
just
but it's the one, John.
we'll let her be the grand finale. Okay. Everyone else, they're good. All right, now let's talk
No,
about
no. We have to talk about Alessandro Giuliani
Yes,
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
because he is incredible and he gets to do his villain voice and it is so good. I was so
Yeah,
happy to hear him.
He has
as
some good
evil
like
Vakama.
growls in there.
Yeah.
And like
This is
especially like the
Vakama,
third act where he like goes into like his like it's very low register. I was like, oh, this is good.
Yeah.
The whole scene where he's like menacing Norik in the temple, I was like, ooh, this is a good performance also. Actually, it's not just about Kathleen Barr.
It is
So,
having
yeah.
seen him in the Barbie movies, always playing like the Ken type character, like Prince Nalu, or it's just
The other
so much
ones.
fun to see him get the chance to just let go and do the villain role. Yeah, I just loved his performance here.
Yeah. I think he crushed it. And also, he does a good job in the last few lines before it switches back to Taraga Vakama. You can
Yeah.
see how similar he's like manipulated his voice to sound like that. So that transition is really like fluid.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that.
But of course, we all know that the big standout of this one is Kathleen Barr.
Yeah.
Oh, I
but
thought you were gonna say Trevor Duvall.
oh, I mean
As-
Trevor Duvall.
As
Love him too.
Nuju and Iruni, 2 characters that have 1 line each.
Rooney's
Love
is
his laugh.
questionable.
Yeah. Well, I do want to say, if you had told me that Brian Drummond voiced both Matau and Oniwa, I would have been very surprised because those are 2 very different voices, and I do think
Until
does a
you
very
hear them
good job
back to
distinguishing
back,
them.
And then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, now I can
Yeah,
hear it.
if you're not looking at the film, you'll think Onewa did not say anything in this movie, and it was just Matau. Source, I was watching it on a second monitor and looked away, and I was like, I thought Onewa said that. And I looked and I was like, oh, he did. But it's the same voice actor.
All right.
It was 1 line though.
Yeah.
That
And
was.
to be fair,
Oh no, I'm thinking of Winua. This is
Oh,
the
yeah,
problem:
Winua
is
is
all the Bionicles have 2 names that are too similar to each other.
yeah. The other issue too is Matau and Onewa are kind of very similar in that they're both snarky and they're both
Yes.
a little bit annoying. And
Yep.
so he's not trying to do crazy different voices for them. He's doing a slight Irish, I guess.
I
for
was gonna
Matau.
ask because it's
Yeah.
like, is he supposed to be Irish or Scottish? And then like it was also there in the second movie, and I was like, but it's not consistent.
It's because they gave Leiwa an Irish thing, and then they were like, okay, I guess we have to do that now for all the green ones.
Yeah.
So,
But also the green ones already have the cool like thing where they say two verbs whenever they say a verb that you've cut way back for the movies.
well,
Because it would be annoying actually for the movies, but it was cool to read.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. So
We got some weird choices.
with Kathleen Barr, like me
Yeah.
and Jay, we've been following this one, her throughout the Barbie films. I know
Yeah.
her from Ponies, and so like we've always loved her performances in the Barbie films. They've always been a really fun one. But I was shocked when I was just listening to Roodaka. Like at first, I was just listening to Roodaka, and it's like, yeah, that's Roodaka. But then I thought to myself, okay, I like who's Roodaka, and I hear her speak and try to pay attention to who she was, and I thought, no, there's no way that that's Kathleen Barr, and it was shocking because in all the other performances that she had to give for Barbie and Ponies, they're more exaggerated and cartoony. Here is the only time I've ever heard her in such a serious role that it was just like, whoa.
Yeah. What kinds of characters does she normally play?
Villains.
In the Barbie movies, but like more matronly
Oh,
type
okay.
villains. Or
Yeah.
and she would
Over the
often
top,
play like
too.
mentors or I'm looking through her. One of my favorite of hers was Madame Ruckus in the underrated Barbie Pearl Princess, where she has the line, "Ladies, I just heard the most bodacious news." She's an octopus with like giant hair. But yeah, looking through her stuff, she's often
She's
playing
Laverna.
villains.
Yeah.
Laverna. So very villains, but very different villains.
Okay. Not
She also played Gali in the first film.
She did.
But
And
Who is
she has a whole lot of she is a very prolific voice actor. So odds are, even if you haven't seen anything else, you've heard any of the Bionicle or Barbie stuff, you've heard her voice in something.
Yeah, she just was the best performance in this movie for me. Like the dynamics, she like I could tell as an actress that she was like taking it seriously, even though this is for a children's toy movie. That you can get the toys in Happy Meals sometimes, and they're not as good as the actual Lego sets.
except for the first time they released.
Yeah.
Well,
And they were the releases.
oh wow.
McTaurin.
That makes sense. But like I don't know, the menacing hiss that she does at one point, and just like truly the like amount of emotion that she's able to convey in her performance, it was so good. I did, I was looking up ways to watch this movie, and I just went to YouTube and watched it, and then I searched Bionicle 3 Web of Shadows on YouTube. And if you're not going to watch this movie, you should watch the 20-minute video someone has put together, which is just every scene with Roodaka in it, because fully she's just that good.
Yeah.
Phenomenal performance. She also plays Rahaga Gaki.
Yeah.
For 2 lines. About how old she is, I guess. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Pretty much.
I gave performances 4.5. I assume it's out of 5. I don't know.
We all did.
Yeah.
Also for Alessandro Giuliani for me. I was very impressed with his performance. But Kathleen Barr steals the spotlight.
She steals the show. There were a few other like sound things that I was like weirded out by. Like there are some times where it's like metal clanging that's like a very standard like metal clang sound effect. But like the one for me was that the sound effect that had to do with Sidorak's laser did not match the like it was too silly a sound effect for what the visual effect was for me. But other than that, like everything else just kind of was adequate.
Yeah, I believe, and I could be wrong, I think they reused the sound effect from the last movie when they were shooting, specifically when they shoot a Kanoka disc. I think that's the same sound effect.
Which also in the last movie, Vakama never used his flying pack power of the disc launcher.
I guess since we moved on to sound now, uh, soundtrack.
Great soundtrack.
Yeah.
It starts out in the best way with ominous music playing over the Miramax logo, which I think is just should be standard for the Miramax logo now.
Yeah.
Because that is what I hear in my brain every time I see the Miramax logo. Is just like ominous music playing. But yeah, it just from moment one just grabs you with this like menace that the other movies have not had.
The darker tone of like the themes of the last films as well.
Yeah. The only like times I noticed the soundtrack was like it did a good job when like in the mutation scene when they like are in the cocoons and bursting out of the cocoons and falling, the music sounded to me like something out of Lord of the Rings, and I don't remember, it probably wasn't concerning hobbits, but like there was a specific song from the Lord of the Rings soundtrack that I was like, that was probably the temp track for this. And then with Vakama and Roodaka, the music is like legally distinct Luke Skywalker in the Emperor's throne room. Like,
Yeah.
it's very similar to that song.
Yeah, they do a good job of replicating a lot of epic vibes from both Star Wars and Lord of the Rings.
Which
throughout
are
all three of the
Yeah.
soundtracks.
All three of the great fantasy trilogies:
All
Star
coming
Wars,
out around
Lord of the
same
Rings,
time as
Bionicle.
well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Which Bionicle has taken not just in sound and music design, but also in plot and story elements
certainly,
and
yeah.
characters. And so yeah, it's I don't know. This one was my favorite of the three soundtracks just because it's a little bit darker, a little bit more menacing.
I don't know. There was some like really cool like techie music in the Legends of Metro Nui soundtrack that like really grabbed me from the beginning in a way that I wasn't grabbed by like the soundtrack in this one.
Yeah.
That's fair. That might be an aesthetic thing.
Yeah. My preference is still towards Legends of Metro Nui. Like, if I'm just going to listen to any of the soundtracks, that's the one I'm going to listen to. But this one has some really good soundtrack, like, action sequence tie-ins. Like, in the final fight, when they're getting ready to do this all-out battle, it's some great music right there. And I think the other part of it, too, is Nathan First, who does all the music for this, he's in the first film, he's like a lot of his music is like wacky. It includes the sound effects. It's very like cartoonish. The second film kind of makes it a little bit more epic and grand. And in this film, I think he also cuts back on the sound effects a little bit more. And for me, when I'm watching it, I don't notice this soundtrack as much as I do in the previous one. And I think that is a double-edged sword to where I'm like, wow, I really loved the last one, and I don't really have any thoughts about this one unless I really spend time thinking about it.
Except for the credits.
Well,
except
yes.
the credits.
Kids, all the insane kids with their epic songs.
That is very true. Yeah, we finally have Bionicle Rock.
Yep.
Well, the Rakshi were playing those air guitars.
That is true.
Yeah, it's interesting the connection between Bionicle and rock music and this sort of specific era of rock music.
Mm-hmm.
Was there ever a Bionicle Hot Topic crossover? Because I feel like that is something that could have happened.
I think Hot Topic was still not quite in its like pop era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could happen now.
That could happen now. Yeah, this
I don't know. This is like,
well, especially
go
in
ahead.
the nowadays of like cross-platform promotion and everything.
Well, and like this and the following year would have been perfect for Hot Topic. We're finally in the edgy
Micah and the Paraka, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is like you mentioned earlier, like this is kind of analogous to like puberty. I think Lego is kind of trying to match the age of the kids from the first series. And so at this point, some kids are starting to get older and go through puberty and stuff. The next series is like we're edgy, we're teenagers, we're
The ads are us breaking down a giant fence with our cool guns.
And rapping,
And
which did
Yo,
really
yo,
well for toy
Baraka.
sales, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
they wanted to appeal to older kids. They realized that that's kind of where their demographic is, and that's what they start doing. Um, and I love, like, this is the first time we really see Bionicle rock,
Yeah.
which is awesome because the
Mhm.
following year in Bionicle canon, kind of, they kidnap a band, a real life human band. There's a
Oh,
whole
the
Free the
Paraka do
Band
that, don't they?
oh,
campaign. Yeah. For
I forgot about this.
yeah, so it's great.
getting some
I
Gorillaz
just remember
inspiration
being a
in
kid
there.
trying to like look up the songs that were the Bionicle rock songs and not being able to find them anywhere.
Yeah. But I would hear them on occasion and be like, "Oh, that's the song," and nobody else would know it, and I would be like,
Yeah.
"Okay, well, wait until
I would
I
request them at the school roller skating parties and they wouldn't play them because I didn't know the names of them.
Just
I'd
call
be
it
like, that
Bionicle
Bionicle
music,
song.
and
I
you'll
know.
find
Yeah.
something.
Nowadays, yeah, you just look up Bionicle music on YouTube, and it's normally just all of the rock songs.
Great.
Yeah.
What I need.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I gave the music a 4 because not only did I enjoy the soundtrack, I love the credits. The music in the credits, I always loved the way that was. It's one of my favorites of the rock songs. I love them all.
Yeah. I gave it I gave it a controversial 4.2.
Whoa.
Pulling a
Because
John and
The
splitting
classic
splitting
4.2
the-
stars out
Yeah.
of 5.
just breaking things up. I was really obnoxious with my scoring this time. Initially, most of them were 0.2s or 0.75s or whatever, but I
I mean, that's how I did
pulled it
things
back.
sometimes.
John likes to do very specific numbers.
Especially if we're like watching 40 films, eventually it's like, okay, I need to find a better way than giving them all the exact same numbers.
Yeah.
Right.
You just need a larger scale.
Yeah,
I think in general, like, the sound design is pretty solid.
sure.
They don't do a bad job. Like, it's most of the time generic cartoon sound effects. But we have a lot of, like, good ambience in this, like the wind whooshing past Bakama and Matau's face as they bungee jump off the top of the Coliseum was really solid. And
That was cool.
how they use the different animal sounds with, like, Bakama's roar and Roodaka's snake sounds, and they do a lot of nice uh, ambient work to add to the story without having to explicitly be like, "Oh yeah, Roodaka is a bad guy and you shouldn't trust her." They're like, "Oh no, she has snake sounds with her. You should That should be a pretty dead giveaway if you didn't already understand."
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought the sound was good. I don't know if I could say, like, again, I prefer the previous movie's soundtrack better, but the fact that this one introduces us to Bionicle rock kind of sways me a little bit more towards this movie.
Sure, yeah. Because how influential Bionicle Rock was for the rest of the
Mhm.
series, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave this a 4. I just enjoyed the music, and the rock song at the end was. It's nice to see them doing. Oh, I just had an idea. Bionicle rock opera. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love them doing more experimentation with the music and and the darker tone.
Sam,
What's up?
what did you give it?
Oh, I gave it a 3 because again, you needed me to put something in there.
Yeah. Which leaves me with a total score of 18 out of 25, which is a 72% or a 3.65 star rating.
I have a 20.5, which is an 82% or a 4.1. By far the highest I've rated any of these, which is perhaps controversial, but
Fair enough.
I don't care.
Yeah, this is my highest rated one too. It's my favorite of the series, and it makes sense. I think it's, for me, they just got better each time. But I also understand people's critiques of this movie. I gave it a 20.2 overall, or an 80.8, which I think is about right. It's
Yeah.
It's a movie about mutants. Why would my score be be a nice round number.
Yeah. I guess that means that I gave it a 16.5 out of 20. No,
25.
out of 25. Actually, I'm gonna bump this up. I'm changing my score right now on
Go for it.
performances to 5, so
5.
I'm 17 out of 25,
Oh.
which is now a 68% or 3.4 stars, because no one else gave it a 5 on performances, and so I was scared to, and then I just decided I would just do it now anyway. So
Yeah,
Trigger.
go for it.
It's
Lee.
it's how you rate it, not
yeah, well, I know, but I was just like, truly not having seen like the other ones, I was like, what is the benchmark, right? Like,
Yeah.
am I just doing this based, like, am I comparing this movie to Casablanca? Like, what am I?
it's
I
up
wouldn't
to you.
recommend it.
It's
Yeah,
it,
Yeah.
John
I'll
and
tell
I
you
are
guys
very
right now, this movie
laissez-faire with
worse
score.
than Casablanca.
I would be inclined to agree, but that is because
The
Casablanca
way you
is
couched that language is like, yeah, probably it's worse than Casablanca.
I mean,
Yeah.
Casablanca is also like top 25 of all time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So sorry,
Um,
Bionicle Web of Shadows. I if I had more nostalgia for it, which I was realizing I don't think I had ever seen this before, despite having seen a lot of the marketing, which made me think that I had seen this. But yeah,
A
it is.
reasonable.
So Toa,
I just like this iteration.
you have this note section here about Back to the Present.
Yeah, because so the next podcast we're going to be covering the next Bionicle movie, and there is a large time gap between this movie and the next movie. They do not flow sequentially at all. It literally takes place on another planet,
Sure does.
all new characters, arguably except for one, and it's completely different in every way. So we'll probably do a lot of the like what happened in between in the next one, but I think to tie up what happened just after this one in between this and the Mask of Light, and also just a little bit to
A little
end the
tease.
Mask of Light saga, I wanted to give a quick little recap. So this I mentioned before, but this whole story takes place, like this flashback is about 1,000 years. They arrive on the island, and then the next part of the story is like a single year, which is fun. But yeah, so each Toa in the film, they have their own little field trip with the Roodaka. They find the airships. They also find the Mask of Light, and as I said earlier, they put it in some stone. They bring it with them. Right afterwards, they all get on airships and fly back, except Vakama, because he's learned nothing in this movie about going off alone. But he goes off on his own because he's like, oh yeah, remember the Mask of Time that I made that is like really powerful? If
That fell
Makuta's
in the
free,
ocean.
I should probably not just leave that in the ocean somewhere. I should probably go get it. And so he has a whole little field trip to go get the Mask of Time, which involves him finding the original Karzani plant, which was supposed to be the one that was supposed to destroy the city, but it was too ambitious in trying to destroy the city. Finding Makuta, having to work with him to track down the mask, and then trying to figure out a way to betray the Makuta. Also, at this point, the Dark Hunters are attacking or trying to kill Vakama because they think he killed Nadiki and Kreka, and then he flips it on them and causes a huge schism between the Makuta and the Dark Hunters that lasts for essentially the rest of the series. He ends up getting the Mask of Time back, and Makuta's like, that's fine, you've got the Mask of Time, whatever, I'll just go terrorize your people. And Vakama's like, no, I will straight up destroy this thing if you try and do that. You have to give us at least a year. Which, in the Matoran universe, there are certain masks that have a larger power than just giving people abilities.
Yeah.
The Mask of Time is literally the concept of time itself. If Vakama destroys the Mask of Time, everybody in the Matoran universe has no idea what time is anymore, and everything kind of ceases to function.
But there was a point where the Mask of Time didn't exist. Like, we saw him create it.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Yep. Also, Voparak, who is a Dark Hunter now, who used to be Sidorak's like chief dude. I talked about him way earlier in the show. Flashback, use the chimes. He's here too because he's been mutated into a being that can sense like temporal fluxes and also things that get too close to him age really, really fast. So he's trying to get the Mask of Time to try and fix himself, but also he's very just drawn to it.
Right.
And so he's one of the things that they have to fight. He comes back way later, not in any mainline things, but he was actually released, I believe, as a set that you could buy, but he's more or less a combiner set. After all this, Vakam is like, all right, I'm going to take the Mask of Time. If you do anything in the next year, I will destroy it. And they're like, okay, we'll back off. So Vakama takes this Mask of Time as hostage, brings it back with them. They take all the airships, they break them down for tools, for shelter, for everything on Matanui. They think this is going to be as permanent as a place as they can make it, for as long as they can make it. Nuju now has decided that the English or Matoran language is dumb, and he will only be speaking bird now, and therefore he needs a translator, which...
Matoro!
That's where Matoro comes in. He becomes very important later.
Specialist
Matoro
boy.
can speak Rahi because innate in his memories that have mostly been wiped, he ran a Rahi shop back on Metronui, and so he knows a bit of animal language, I guess. They don't explain that super well, but just trust us. That's how it works. And now we're back to the present. Like, all the storytelling has caught up to the point where we ended in Mask of Light. So from here...
When they were like, we have to wake up the Great Spirit.
Yeah, exactly. And then Vakam's
Then
like,
they
okay,
didn't.
come over here. I got to tell you a story. And then we'll go do it.
Yeah.
So from here, all the Matanui inhabitants journey down to Metronui. They take tunnel system. They go
They
to
cross
Metro.
the ocean, and the ocean. Yep. It doesn't make sense.
Yep. Don't worry about it.
See, also Voya Nui and Mari Nui still doesn't make sense.
Also true. Okay, just a quick side note. Somebody pointed out that Voya Nui has an active volcano, but it's not attached to the core of any sort of planet.
Yep.
It's literally floating.
It's got lava in it, though.
It's got lava, and it does erupt. Anyways. Okay, back to the present. They're all journeying down to Metronui, and that's when Vakama's telling them these journeys. They're on boats. It's taking them a little bit. It's not going to take them 100 years, but it takes them a little bit to get there. And so he's telling them all the stories about Metronui. At this point, too, the Rahaga have been working to restore the city along with Turaga Duma, the real Turaga Duma. He's uniquely really good at restoring the city because he has the Mask of Restoration, a noble version of it, but it helps him fix things good. So
you can cast the mending cantrip.
Yeah, literally, that's what it is. And as Nuju, who was formerly an astronomer or astrologer, depending on how you...
They're kind of the same thing in the Matoran universe.
Yeah. As he and Duma study the stars of Metronui, a new and larger threat reveals itself. Matanui is not just sleeping. He's dying.
Dun dun.
And that's where we'll leave it for now, because
Our
there's a lot in
chronicler
between.
sure shouldn't leave.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. Trying to summarize what happens between this and the next one.
That's your homework, Toa.
I don't. I will say I don't know that it like is reasonable to like do that as. I feel like that's its own episode of a podcast. Like
you,
that
you
is
can,
that
it has to be really dumb. Like the
it's
cursed
fully
Bionicle
like
lore.
Yeah.
You can say it in 3 sentences, which is like they go to get a mask to bring him back to life.
Well, don't spoil too much.
That's
we're
the
gonna
thing.
be covering it.
What if there was a
Masks go
mask?
underwater.
What if there was a mask
Anyway.
that did life?
That would be crazy.
That would be crazy.
But they wouldn't do that. That's too much of a Deus Ex Machina for like...
Well, it's just like really
mask.
like, what if? I feel like every Bionicle story is like, What if there was a mask that was really powerful? It's like, yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
You got the mask
Also,
of light,
Majora's
mask
Mask.
of time. You got the mask of life,
Mask of Majora. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
the mask of Majora, the mask of creation. I think
There's a
Artaka
Mask of
has.
Creation. Yeah.
But that's from the reboot. That's from 2015.
No, he has a Mask of Creation in.
Oh, okay. Well, there's also a
regular
mask
game.
of creation in 2015.
That's the only one that we've actually seen. But yeah,
Oh,
very
okay.
good looking mask, to be fair.
It's a cool one.
But yeah, I'll work on something to summarize the in between for the next one. Maybe I'll get an AI Tony Wedgwood to narrate all of it so that we feel caught up. But
Honestly, I will say the stuff in between this movie and the next movie is my favorite bit of Bionicle lore. It is like the best storytelling of Bionicle lore.
That's
It is the
always
like
such a bummer.
darkest, most interesting stuff, and like it's super intriguing, and you should read the books.
All we get are like the TV commercials, which are still really cool.
Oh, yeah. There's a Matoran who's just a great being in the body of a Matoran. What's up with that? Who knows?
great. But yeah, it's thematically for the people listening, get ready for a big shift because we're now going to be starting to connect a lot of things together, and the kind of chill storylines that we've had up until this point are going to get very intense and very philosophical.
Which is maybe why they couldn't make movies, is because they didn't want parents to watch.
Oh yeah, that is undoubtedly. I don't know if it's they didn't make movies because it was going too dark, or if it went dark because they weren't
making movies anymore.
But either way, yeah.
Or also they were like, man, these people who were like 11 in 2001 are now like fully teenagers and want more interesting stories.
That too, yeah.
They also have a bigger budget now. Like they weren't expecting Bionicle to do very well in 2001, and now they're like, okay, Bionicle's like our main franchise. Let's run it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
So.
And then they left the Matoran universe, and the story stopped getting good.
Well,
and they were like, let's make another movie. No, it's a good ending to the Bionicle story. I just am sad because the stuff that's interesting is inside the Matoran universe for me personally. And then they were like, let's go to a different planet, which you have to do because of the thing that happens with the Mask of Life. But also it's just like inherently less interesting to me because it's not my friends Tahu and Liwa and Kapaka and Jaller and all those folks.
But that's a discussion for a different episode. Anyway, Jay, take us out.
This is my only chance to talk about Bionicle, you guys. I'm sorry.
No, we appreciate that you are here. And yeah, thank you everyone for listening. Make sure to follow us on social media. We are Binging Barbie Podcast on Instagram and Tumblr, Binging Barbie on Twitter and Serialized, and Binging Barbie, a Barbie movie podcast on Letterboxd. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a 5-star review and go join our Patreon where you can listen to next week's episode right now. So yeah, but before we wrap things up, I did want to, since both of our guests, you can hear their lovely voices elsewhere on the internet. So Toa, why don't you start off with where other people can find you, what you're up to?
You can find me on youtube.com/Toa Legend. I upload occasionally. I stream every Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/Toa Legend. And quick shout out for a big Bionicle project that I'm a small part of, but I will be releasing at least one video on their channel soon, is the Project Matanui Rising. It's a stop motion series covering actually the kind of the next part in the Bionicle story. So we're slowly working on releasing. It's taking a while because it's volunteer fan efforts. But we've got some really talented people, and you should definitely check them out if you enjoyed all this Bionicle content.
Will do. I enjoyed this Bionicle content. Listeners, I don't know about you, but I had fun today.
Oh yeah, Sam, where can people find you?
I am a host / producer / showrunner / editor on Serious Business with regular Binging Barbie guest Samariel Haster. We talk about Homestuck. We are going through it section by section, slowly and surely, and someday we will finish it. Listen if you want. Like I don't know. It's hard to be like jump into this thing that has like 50 episodes out now. And jumping on right now is inadvisable because you're missing the context of everything else. But I have fun making it, and really it's for me and my friends so we can hang out together. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
the main thing I do.
Yeah, and I'll put the links to all of your stuff in the description here in case anyone does want to go and check those out. And yeah, we will be back next week to talk about Bionicle, the Legend Reborn. And until then, is someone
you
reading
don't
this
have to
line?
say the words that I wrote down. I
no,
just
I
wrote
was
down
wondering
What
if
did
you
you
were,
write down? Hold
going
up.
to read it out.
No, me be the silly one? No. I wanted to make you guys say the funny words.
Holy Godunka! Watch out, he's armed.
There we
that
go.
ad.
Bye,
So am I.
Barbie.
Bye, Barbie.
Bye.
Bye.
I'll take it from here.
Bionicle. There's not a
Yeah.
bye Roodaka.
Sure.
Bye, Roodaka.
Bye Roodaka.